Today, the magnificent thoroughbred will star again as we celebrate the grand climax of another racing year. The elegant equine, showcasing its talent against the very best in a simple game of who has the fastest horse. In the guiding hands of a Hall of Fame list of top jockeys. Each step directed toward the winner's circle and measured by a corps of trainers testing their horses against the class of the sport. At stake, Eclipse Awards and a possible Horse of the Year honor. The top contenders: Groovy, the Catch Me If You Can sprinter. Turf Star, Theatrical, the 5-year-old son of Nureyev. The Kentucky Derby and Preakness winner of this year, Ali Shiva. And the 1986 Kentucky Derby star, Ferdinand. All in a drive for a Breeders' Cup championship. The Breeders' Cup returns to Hollywood Park, located near the International Airport southwest of Los Angeles. It's a beautiful 70-degree day, and some 50,000 fans or more expected for this, the richest day in racing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this 24-carat day for the sport of kings. Rich in so many ways, $10 million rich in the purses that will be vied for today, and rich in the quality of the international field of horses and horsemen attracted to Hollywood Park today. We're 14 minutes away from the first post, and that has implications for Horse of the Year. Let's bring in Tom Hammonds, my colleague today from Lexington, Kentucky. Been involved in all aspects of racing, everything from hot walking to calling to owning to breeding. You haven't ridden one yet.
I can't make the weight.
How about Groovy? Some are saying that this horse deserves to be Horse of the Year if it wins 7 out of 7. That would be the 7th today.
Sprinters often don't get much respect, but our racing in America based on the sprint, 6 furlongs, the most prevalent distance. I think a sprinter can be Horse of the Year. It'll take a big win for him today.
And the quality of the 84 horses we'll see today, a lot of gems.
We know it'll be a championship day. Of the 21 previous Breeders' Cup races, 15 of those winners have gone on to be named champion. And of the healthy, eligible championship contenders this year, only 2 are missing. 49 are the 2-year-old colt, Personal Ends, and the 3-year-old filly. We also know that the Breeders' Cup has a habit of making its own heroes.
And there's a hero in that field of 14 as we await the $1 million purse at stake in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And down in the paddock area is our colleague Sharon Smith.
Well, the owners and trainers of these horses won't have long to wait to see which is the fastest today, certainly. The jockeys are just about to be put aboard for the first race on the Breeders' Cup card today. Now, of course, the heavy favorite is Groovy, and if you have the idea that he's a difficult, speed-crazy horse, he's been an absolute gentleman in the paddock, walking along as if he owns the place. Very Subtle's getting a lot of support. This is one of 2 fillies in the race, the only 3-year-old filly, and so she gets a little bit of a weight break. That won't necessarily help her out a lot in a short distance. She's a completely different type from Groovy. As you can see, a very delicate feminine filly. Groovy is a big, strong bruiser, but she will try her best to lead him to the wire this afternoon. So it's an outstanding field, beautiful day, and the horse is behaving impeccably in the paddock. Let's go to Bruff Scott.
Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. I've done the Derby at Epsom this year, the Arc de Triomphe at Longchamp, the Melbourne Cup down in Australia, but here we have perhaps the ultimate racing day and certainly the ultimate sprint. Europeans will never have seen a first quarter-mile run as fast as will happen here. Some 21 seconds amongst the 3 European challengers. Sylvan Express, who's ridden by Steve Cawthon, who's just won our British Championship after a long duel with another rider here, Pat Edery. Steve now really established as one one of the outstanding riders that side of the Atlantic. He was, of course, your champion over here. But quite honestly, the early speed, this is not the race we can win. If any of our European horses win, I'll swim home from Los Angeles.
All right, Bruff, and currently Groovy at 4-5. The betting favorite, Zany Tactics, the 4-horse at 5-2.
And we begin with a scratch. Sabona has been scratched, so right up we go with Groovy.
Groovy 2-5 favorite last year, Tom Hammond, and was upset, finished 4th.
He was purchased this past summer for $4 million by Prestonwood Farm. Not only unbeaten this year, but has never been behind another horse. All 6 of his wins were stakes, 2 of them in track record time. Angel Cordero would take him right to the front. Number 3 is Slyly Gifted, a long shot to win his last race at Keeneland. No great speed, though, and has run only 1 time under a mile this year. Number 4 is Zany Tactics. His owners put up $120,000 to make him eligible as a supplemental nominee. This past spring, he set a world's record, 6 furlongs in 1 minute 6 4/5 at Turf Paradise. But today, he might be just slightly back of the early pace. Number 5 is On the Line, a flashy-looking horse from the Klein-Lucas connection. He's shortening up from longer races. Could be there if the pace is hot.
Let's see if you have an eye for the girls. This field does have 2 fillies in the 14, and there's one of them, Pine Tree Lane.
She caught the eye of W.T. Young. He bought her for $1.2 million just a week ago. She beat Groovy out of the gate in this race last year, then finished second to Smile. She's a massive filly. She's beaten the boys, maybe has the fastest first quarter of all. Number 7, Zabalata, owned by the wealthiest man in Australia. This horse, a $400,000 sales yearling, who has had some of his best races here at Hollywood Park. Number 8 is Exclusive Enough. This is the Ali Sheba owner and trainer team. In fact, this horse was purchased at the same time as Ali Sheba for $415,000. He's won 2 straight and equaled the 6 furlong Keeneland track record in his last start. Number 9, Very Subtle, the 3-year-old filly. She was purchased for $1.2 million a month ago. Has the speed to be a factor, has never lost, sprinting at Hollywood Park. And a win here might earn her an Eclipse Award as champion 3-year-old filly. Number 10, Taylor's Special, 5th in this race last year, has gone over $1 million in earnings, but failed to finish when Groovy won the 4-go handicap at Saratoga. Number 11 is High Bright, a horse that just made the Lucas team, has come on at the end of the year, but would need his best race today to beat this field.
Hey, I love the long shots, and I can get 3 horses for 60-1 in the field.
One of them, Governor General. He has come from England. He is a long shot, a member of that mutual field. Hard to handle, probably not fast enough either. 12A is Sharp Romance, another European horse who would appear to have no shot in this race, winless in 14 starts during 1987. And 12B is Sylvan Express, who won a couple of sprint stakes in Europe, but would also appear to be overmatched, and ridden by Steve Cawthon, the American, who has won 3 of the last 4 English riding titles, beating Pat Ettery by 2 victories this year. That's the field for the sprint.
$1 million, $450,000 to the winner. Now let's go to the winner's circle, to our Railbird odd couple, Harvey Pack and Jay Randolph.
All right, thank you, Dick. A great afternoon. We're ready for action, I can tell you that. We'll be talking with the breeders. We'll be talking with many of the trainers this afternoon who come away with victories in this 87 Breeders' Cup. It's a star-studded afternoon here in the Hollywood area, L.A., and like an aging film star, you're ready to make a big comeback.
Maybe a defeat, another defeat. However, this is a fascinating first race, probably the most exciting sprint you will ever see. An assembly of super horses. Let's take a look at the odds and try and analyze what's going on here. If you're betting this race outside of California, you'll get a better price on Zany Tactics. Here in L.A., they don't think he can be beaten, and he is a close second choice. Groovy, the New York favorite at 4-5, undefeated. Pine Tree Lane, the horse that's supposed to outsprint them, is being held at 9-1. But out here in California, watch this all day. We got simulcasts all over the country. Zany Tactics, 5-2. They love them. Let's see what happens.
And we should mention that we'll have Pack's Pool. Harvey will be back a little later on. That's going to be fun to go throughout the afternoon with him. Dick?
All right, Jay. A week ago in the starting gate over at Santa Anita, Gary Stevens, a top rider here in the West for the last couple of years, second to Jose Santos in the U.S. in riding money last year, fractured his ankle, so he joins us, takes over the Chris McCarron role of last year. We're happy and we're sorry that you're with us today, Gary.
Thank you, Dick. This isn't where I wanted to be this afternoon, but it's the next best seat in the house, and I'm excited about being here.
Well, we're going to call upon your riding expertise to give us an insight into the races we're about to see, but also you're going to be able able to experience the role of being a fan. As a fan, is there any one person you're rooting for today?
There's one person in particular, and that would have to be Bill Shoemaker today.
Bill Shoemaker at age 56, maybe the greatest of all time, still looking for his first Breeders' Cup riding win. And the stars are out at Hollywood Park. Sprint 6 furlongs, 3/4 of a mile. They'll start from the head of the backstretch. Few horses can win from off the pace. This is an all-out speed test, a wire-to-wire, not uncommon. Finish line is beyond the paddock, the second finish line. The home stretch, a full 1/4 mile. The sprint and the favorite currently at 4 to 5 is Groovy. For some background, Jay and Harvey with the races behind the sprint.
Wow, what a way to start the day. The fastest thoroughbreds in the world, and they're sprinting.
And wow is the word for Groovy. 6 in a row. Might not break on top because of speedballs like Pine Tree Lane. And Zany Tactics is in here, the world record holder for 6 furlongs.
Last year, the Breeders' Cup Sprint, they thought Groovy would win that one. He didn't come out of the gate in full stride. The rider took him back a little bit. Smile went on to win that race. Groovy finished a dismal 4th. From there, he was injured, went in for surgery. Could a sprinter like this come back and regain his top form? We didn't have long to wait. In June, the True North Handicap, Groovy running away and hiding from his field. He's here to win it today.
And Jose Martin has him ready. Here's the very impressive, very subtle.
This filly ran at Saratoga 7 furlongs. She put her field away. It was a remarkable performance, as fast as we saw the entire month of August. Trainer Mel Studi didn't want to go on with her. She's a sprinter, he said, and a sprinter she'll be. Today we'll find out. When these horses go at each other, check your watch.
And Groovy, of course, was a horse that everyone thought would win a year ago and didn't. You didn't win a year ago. NBC presenting you with a Franklin, another $100, Pax Pool, and we're going to restrict you. Straight plays only this year.
No exactas, no pick 6, no pick 9, no pick 3. What are you, going to ruin my life? You want to pick in the opener?
Yes, sir.
I would never do this in real life, but I'm stuck with this lousy 100. This is just for openers. It's going to go downhill from here. 10 win on the chalk from New York, Groovy.
There it is. Pax Pool gets started in race 1. Dick?
Well, we'll keep track of his progress during the day. I guess we can all identify with at least starting even. There's Groovy, the 4 to 5 favorite, and Zany Tactics at 5 to 2 is second. The start of this race not unlike the 100 meters for the Olympic gold medal. The start so incredibly important, Tom.
It is indeed very important, and coming out of the gate, it'll be so important to watch Groovy, who is in the number 2 post position. Groovy, of course, will come out of the 2. If I can hit that 2, almost there. It'll be Zany Tactics in the 4. Zany Tactics down there in the 4 spot will be coming away. Pine Tree Lane is in the 7. And, of course, you'll see also very subtle on the outside with a lot of speed. Now, Angel Corderos want to come away right if he can to carry those horses a little wide. Gary Stevens, will he come off the rail a little bit and try to carry the other speed horses outside him wide into that first turn?
Tom, it's very essential that Angel gets away from the gate with Groovy, and if he does get away good, then it's possible that you will see him try and drift out down the backside.
We should point out, Gary, that during the 3 days prior to this day of racing, speed has been incredibly important here at Hollywood Park. It's been tough to beat it. If you're ahead going into that first turn, not many horses have lost.
Speed has been a dominant force here for the last couple of meets, and I think you could expect it today, but we'll get a good line off of this first race today.
Well, with a close line as the horses approach that starting gate is Bruff Scott.
Now, there's always a danger of overdoing the superlatives on a day like this, but I never tire, and I've been a long, long time in racing as a rider to start with. I never tire of a big sprint at the start, because you've got half a ton of racehorses going to explode out of the gate. He's going to get up to 40 miles an hour in less than 100 yards. And believe me, when they come out there, they are really running. And so the tension now is building, and we're going to start to load.
The number 6, Pine Tree Lane, ridden by Chris McCarron. Pine Tree Lane finished second to the winner in the sprint last year. Smile has Groovy finished 4th. Here's McCarron's pre-race thoughts.
Do the same thing this year.
Well, I certainly hope so. She's going to lead there running, I hope, and we're probably going to try and make the lead with her. If we can outrun Groovy, that'll be to our advantage, I think. But if we can't, we're going to have to take the next best spot, which probably be laying second. But hopefully we'll be able to beat them out of the gate.
Pine Tree Lane currently at 9-1, fourth best. Zabaleta getting some interest at 7-1, Groovy at 4-5, and Zany Tactics the fours at 5-2. They're double loading here as the 14 horses enter. Bruff, Scott.
Just loading up here. I see Angel Cordero's got his foot standing on the side now. Got about 3 to load. Groovy's in. Pine Tree Lane not yet in. And Zabaleta out the back there is just being a bit rank with the outrider, with Lafitte Pincay on board. And the Governor General trotting up from Europe. For the race call, Tom Durkin.
It's east, west, Groovy from the east, and Zany Tactics, the second choice from the west. For the call, let's go to Tom Durkin.
It could be the most important horse race of 1987. All 6 furlongs of it. They're in the gate. The flag is up, and they're off. Pine Tree Lane broke alertly and goes right to the front. Very Subtle is right there, and Groovy down on the inside, and Pine Tree Lane is in front. Groovy full tilt to stay with her early. Very Subtle to join them now on the outside, now running in third position. Zany Tactics laying off the lead in fourth. High Bright driving hard in fifth position. Zabaleta is sixth on the rail, about 5 lengths off the lead. Exclusive Enough come away running in seventh position. And they zip the opening quarter in 21 1/5 seconds. Exclusive Enough is racing seventh on the outside. Zabaleta. Zany Tactics has faded now. Taylor Special is now about 9 lengths off the lead. On the line is next, then Sylvan Express. Then farther back, Slyly Gifted, and the 2 Europeans, Governor General and Sharp Romance. And Very Subtle is a clear leader at the top of the stretch. Groovy is full out. The half in 44 seconds flat. Very Subtle coming to the final furlong now with a 3-length lead, and Groovy is laboring now to try to stay with. Very Subtle is in front and pouring it on now in front by 5. Exclusive Enough on the outside, now running in third. Zabaleta is fourth, and they're coming to the finish, and Very Subtle has crushed this field and has won it by 5. And Groovy, a disappointing second here. Groovy disappoints once again, and it was Very Subtle who had a commanding lead at the top of the stretch, and Groovy just could not get to this filly this afternoon.
And did you have an eye for the ladies? One of the 2, Very Subtle, along with Pine Tree Lane, the 3-year-old Kentucky-bred filly, owned by Ben Rochelle, ridden by Pat Valenzuela. 10th win in 16 career starts. Purchased for $1.2 million by Rochelle in a dissolution of a partnership with the late Carl Grinstead on October 13th. Valenzuela and Very Subtle are the sprint champion of the Breeders' Cup. Sharon?
We're with Jose Martin in the paddock right now. Jose watched the race with us on the monitor, and let me turn around so we can see. I know you're disappointed. We're looking at a disappointed face. What was the problem with him? He had trouble catching that filly.
Well, he had no problem. He broke a little slow, and it always was very expected. The post is a very big post. You got to stay there and wait for everybody to load up. So let's see what happens. Let me talk to Angel. I'll be back.
Okay. I'm sorry about the results of this race. Jose Martin has got to be terribly disappointed. The second year in a row that he sent off the odds-on favorite in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. The positive thing is that his horse did run on in the last 16th, so didn't pull up even though he was laboring, which I guess you got to look for positive things after a race like that. Let's send it back to Dick.
Well, the Sunshine Boys, the late Grinstead and now Ben Rochelle, they had Snow Chief, you remember last year, the champion 3-year-old colt, Very Subtle. Tom Hammond, how about consideration for Very Subtle now as the sprinting champion?
She has a chance to be champion. One of her biggest races earlier this year, the Test Stakes at Saratoga, she won very impressively. This victory could perhaps give her the 3-year-old filly championship. We'll be back to Hollywood Park.
Originally bought as a 2-year-old by Studi, Mel Studi, for $30,000. Very Subtle has won the sprint here at Hollywood Park, 16-1. Very Subtle, the filly went off, and Pat Valenzuela got her to fire.
I feel better.
If I had Whittingham, we'd be a hot shot.
All right, here in the winner's circle, Harvey Pack and Jay Randolph, and here's the owner, Ben Rochelle. Ben, this is much fun as Snow Chief.
Oh, much more fun. When you can see a filly beat those great colts, you know you've got a hell of a filly, right?
Right. Not bad for an old vaudevillian, the way you've handled yourself in thoroughbred racing.
Oh, yeah. Well, it came in pretty good because I'm a gambler. I took a shot, and I couldn't believe when I saw at least 5 lengths in front of Groovy, right? So all I can say is it was even a bigger thrill than Snow Chief because he was colts against colts, right? So now we've got a tremendous filly. And how far she'll go after this, I don't know. But this is a prize of a lifetime.
And you've always loved the girls. All right, Harvey.
Well, Studi, that's a super training job. You won at Saratoga. It was the most impressive 7 of the meeting. You pulled out. You didn't want to go for the Alabama. You trained her on practically no racing.
Yes, she was coming up for the sale, and I believe her best distance is sprinting. I'll have to stretch her out now, but I always thought she was one of the best sprinters in the country, and I think today she proved it.
You think the laying her off since August and, you know, not giving her many races helped?
Yes, she runs her best fresh, and she was coming up to that sale, and I didn't want to take a chance on hurting her before the sale because she's worth a lot of money.
Okay, we've just seen it, a long shot, an upset, wiring, the field, speed will be good today. That's it from here.
Thank you.
The favorite, Groovy, finishing second last year, failing as a 2-5 favorite, and finished 4th. Jockey Jose Santos was taken off Groovy. Angel Cordero got the ride today. Let's get his reaction.
Angel, down at the start, I saw you really drove when you came out of the stalls. You couldn't quite make it.
No, he broke good, but he didn't accelerate like he usually do. He was having trouble handling the inside part. And he was trying to run, and he kept skipping. And at the time he got running, the filly was in front of him. And I was in tight for a while, you know.
Did you think on the turn that you still could get his middle speed?
Well, I thought that if he gets, you know, if he gets running, because they broke almost even, but the other filly got the jumping on and started opening up on him. And I was driving, trying to make the inside on the turn, because he, you know, he doesn't like to be behind, but he wasn't handling the ground the first quarter of a mile like he usually do. And they went in 21, and when he finally got rolling, he was too late. The filly was right there with me, you know, and she made it a little tight for me. And then after that, he was out running. That filly in front running big race. He never came back at all. I was surprised to see my horse finish in second because he's usually a real good front runner. I'm sorry that he didn't have the chance to prove it today.
Last year, in fact, he died much more than this. I mean, he has got home a bit.
Well, he was a better horse this year than he was last year. I think probably if he would have an outside post, probably he would have got running better. You know, I thought the inside post might have helped him because he was on the fence. I could not believe somebody could outrun him that easy to drop in on him, but she did. She outrun him. She was faster today than him, you know, and he hung in there tough, and he stayed there for a second, which I was proud of him.
Well, that's what the Breeders' Cup's about. The fastest on the day. You've got plenty more chances. Angel, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Here are the official results in the sprint now. Very subtle. The 3-year-old filly pulling the upset to the tune of $34.80, $8.80, and $5. The favorite Groovy second, with Exclusive Enough claiming third. The time of the race, 1 minute 8 4/5.
Tom Durkin, who called that race for you, joins us now. And boy, the start was so important. Pine Tree Lane cooks Groovy out of the gate, and then very subtle from the outside gets positioned into that first turn.
And also cooked Groovy's chances to be named Horse of the Year this year. He just has no shot now after failing in this sprint race. But later on this afternoon, we may see that Horse of the Year performance. It could be theatrical in the Breeders' Cup turf. If he wins this afternoon, he will have won 6 Grade 1 races this year, although all of them on the grass, so there's a certain resistance to giving the top award to a specialist like that. And then we'll see Ali Sheba and Ferdinand in the Breeders' Cup Classic later on. They also have a chance.
Tom Durkin has to hustle upstairs, and is he in for a dilemma? We'll talk about that a bit later, but right now we go to Sharon Smith.
With a very happy man, in fact, Pat Valenzuela, who is the winning jockey. You know, a lot of people were talking about Groovy and Pine Tree Lane going out and burning everybody. Well, you sort of snuck in there, didn't you?
Yes, my filly ran a very good race. She shows a lot of speed. She's never been beat one turn. And Pine Tree Lane was out there. Groovy was on the inside of her. I had plenty of filly. I went by him easy, and she just kept going. She ran a very good race.
Were even you surprised, though, with how easy she did win?
She went very easy, but she's been doing really good. She worked 46 flat out of the gate the other day, which is a really easy work for her, and she ran a very good race.
Well, it was a spectacular performance by this filly, very subtle today, and by Pat Valenzuela, who's now won, what, 2 Breeders' Cup races, as you say?
Yeah. I want to say hi to my brother, JR, at Sunland Park, New Mexico, to my mom and dad, and my daughters, Michelle and Christine. I love love you guys.
And they're just as happy as he is right now.
Thank you.
With all the money Pat Valenzuela has just earned, he can make his own phone calls. He and Studi collaborated last year, remember, in the Juvenile Fillies, as Brave Raj won that Breeders' Cup race over at Santa Anita. And we'll return to Hollywood Park Breeders' Cup on a beautiful day after these messages from your local station. Presented by C. Gibson Downing to owner Ben Rochelle. Very subtle, not so subtle, and $34.80 in the payoff. And here's the start again. Gary Stevens, bring him out of the gate for us.
Well, Groovy's broke just a step late, as Jose Martin said. Pine Tree Lane outbroke him a good length and applied the pressure right away, more or less cooked Groovy. Then you see very subtle, the filly just hit her gears about an eighth of a mile away from the gate and just blew him away from there.
What do you learn from this race that might carry over to the others that we'll see today on that backside?
Speed is a definite advantage today.
All right, so very subtle, wire to wire, is the winner of the first race, the sprint. And we look ahead now to the Juvenile Fillies, which features 5 fillies saddled by Wayne Lucas, 4 of them coupled in the wagering as the Gene Klein-owned entry. As you see the morning line, that entry opens as the 2-to-1 favorite. Lucas has one other horse to settle, and that's Classic Crown, and she's 3-to-1. The second choice, Jeannie Jones. And it should be a contentious field of Juvenile Fillies going a flat mile out of the chute for a purse of $1 million.
And Jeannie Jones to be ridden by Bill Shoemaker. Certainly a legend in his own time. The 56-year-old Shoe has not won a Breeders' Cup race in 10 tries, but 4 Kentucky Derbies, and you can go on and his more than 8,000 riding victories. The official order of finish for the $1 million Breeders' Cup Sprint.
And of course, we'll see that Pine Tree Lane really sacrificed herself for the benefit of the others. She went out and took the early lead and cooked Groovy and wound up 11th in the field after those early efforts, which was a dilemma the jockeys faced. Do you try to outbreak Groovy and run with him and risk being cooked on the front end? Do you lay slightly off of it and perhaps let Groovy get loose? It didn't matter, because Very Subtle outran them all, making the lead shortly out of the gate and then going on to win it by 5 lengths down the lane.
Groovy was selected by Harvey Pack, so he's down 10.
And I'm here with Harvey, of course. One of the items that we ought to talk about today, we're looking at the morning line, we're looking at the odds all day long. Arbitrage is taking place,
That's right.
though. What's arbitrage?
Well, it's what Ivan Boesky did so successfully. You can do it in horse racing. Look at it this way. You like a Canadian horse, bet him at a Florida track. You like a Florida horse, bet him at a Canadian track. Like a New York horse, bet him in California. Like a California horse, bet him in New York. I got a guy's done that for the whole card. If he does extremely well, he'll make 1% on his money.
You really are sick.
Yes, I am.
Action, we love it down here, I'll tell you, Dick.
Well, there's plenty more to come. Next up will be the $1 million Juvenile Fillies for 2-year-olds. And they're checking in with the jockeys in the paddock area. 2
of the first 3 winners of this race, Dick, have been named champion outstandingly in 1984 and Brave Raj last year. You'll remember Family Style, the champion in 85, finished 2nd in this race. So this race today should also decide the champion of 1987. It moves back to a mile. It was run at 1 1/16 at Santa Anita last year, but it returns to its previous distance of a mile around 1 turn. And Gary, because of that 1-turn configuration, it's more like a sprint, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's just a stretched out sprint. The speed seems to stay just like it does in the 6-furlong race. If they've got an advantage going into the last turn, then that's where you usually end up.
Excuse me, Dick, you take a look at the paddock there and the dilemma by Wayne Lucas with 5 horses to saddle. Which one was he saddled first? He doesn't want to show any favoritism. He says he and his son Jeff will saddle them in numerical order and not show any favoritism at all.
Well, Tom Durkin was saying that in having to call the race, here are 4 horses that look alike. Riders with the same silks, those yellow and blue silks, the same colors as Eugene Klein's San Diego Chargers when he owned them. He said it's like trying to call the front 4 of the Chargers and not having any numbers on them. So he has his work cut out. He'll have to do it all from the differences in the caps that they will wear during the race. Let's go to Sharon Smith.
Well, you notice around me in the paddock, the horses for this race are considerably different than the horses for the sprint, which consisted mostly of very experienced, heavily raced horses. These are 2-year-old fillies, and as Gary Stevens would be happy to tell you, this is the group of horses probably the jockeys and trainers pay the most attention to as they're saddling them. And you will notice that some of them are a little bit wet from the excitement of the day. Some very interesting horses in this field, including Valkyria. Now, people in Puerto Rico know all about this filly. She was foaled in Florida, but then was taken to Puerto Rico, won 6 starts extremely easily, was taken back to Florida, where she won 2 races at Calder Racecourse, including the My Dear Girl Stakes, very important stakes race for Florida fillies. This was a very impressive win for her. She had trouble getting out of the gate and then just blew past the rest of the field in the stretch. And if she can duplicate that kind of form from Calder Racecourse here at Hollywood Park, Valkyria, the pride of Puerto Rico, could be the winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. It's a very impressive filly, and a lot of people wonder if that kind of form can translate. In the meantime, a lot of people are wondering how these fillies will adjust to the huge crowd here at Hollywood Park. They are behaving pretty well. A couple of them are sweating a little bit, and in the post-parade we'll see who's adjusting better than who else.
And there is Valkyria, unbeaten, 8 out of 8, 6 of those wins in Puerto Rico before moving to Florida and winning the last 2 at Calder. Horses take the track for the post-parade. The 2-year-old juvenile fillies, and perhaps a filly here that we'll be talking about at Kentucky Derby time next May.
And number 1, part of that entry is Lost Kitty. She's a half-sister to Champion Family Style, a $775,000 yearling. Very seasoned. She beat the Colts in the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity. 1A is Blue Jean Baby, named by Lucas because her mother came out of Idaho in a horse trailer, ended up in Kentucky with the Blue Bloods. She won 3 of her first 4 races, but pulled up lame after a 10-length win in the sorority. She had a bruised foot and races now in a bar shoe. She's been off the board in 2 starts since that injury, but Lucas says throw them out. She was just getting ready for this race. 1B is Dream Team. This name came from the cartoonist Peb, who calls Lucas and his wife the Dream Team. 5th in her debut. She has taken her next 3 starts by daylight. She's a tall, long striding filly, comes from off the pace. 1C is Overall. She's won 5 graded stakes, more than any of the other fillies, but she threw in a clinker running last in her most recent start. Lucas thinks she didn't like the Keeneland track. She may not have liked the distance. It was her only effort over 7 furlongs.
You can see Santos with the red cap, one of the distinctive marks. But they're not all big, rich horses. Tortellina Roma was purchased for $4,000.
And a Washington bred. She races outside her native state for the first time today. She's won 4 of 6, but never against a field this good. Number 3 is Tomorrow's Child. Has placed in graded stakes 5 times, keeps knocking on the door, and trainer Mel Studi, having won the first race, hopes for an answer from her today. She wears blinkers for the first time. Number 4, Close In. Does she belong in this race? Well, Classic Crown beat her 13 lengths in this filly's only stakes effort.
Number 5 is Jeannie Jones, and this is the combination, the Bald Eagle, Charlie Whittingham, and Bill Shoemaker, the jockey.
She won her first start by 9 lengths, then finished only a neck behind Czar Baby in a race against the Colts, losing a shoe in the process. Her mother set a Hollywood Park track record, and as you said, Bill Shoemaker, the world's winningest jockey, looks for his first Breeders' Cup win, as does Hall of Fame trainer Whittingham. Number 6 is Epitome, second in her only stakes effort. Her connections were considering the Pocahontas Stakes at Churchill Downs, but because jockey Pat Day would be here, owner John Bell decided to come too. Number 7, Pearly Gold, third behind Epitome in her last start. She could be one of the late runners today.
And here's the number 8, Valkyria. Cinderella, that translates in English or Spanish.
And a mystery horse, I think. Unbeaten in 8 races, 6 of them in Puerto Rico, 2 in Florida. Her dam was a Puerto Rican champion, and jockey Rojas, the leading rider there. Number 9 is Classic Crown. As Wayne Lucas says, a marriage made in heaven that works. By leading sire Mr. Prospector and a half-sister to champion and Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner Chief's Crown. She's delicate, feminine. She'd be on all the Colts date list. Very proper. She always picks up the right fork. By the way, unbeaten in 2 starts, including the Grade 1 Frisette. That's the field for the juvenile fillies.
So the juvenile fillies, and Peb, the cartoonist from the Racing Form, is with us again today at Hollywood Park, and we'll enjoy his special sense of humor.
Hollywood Park, Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies, and a bittersweet finish for a 75-1 long shot.
Here's Friends Valentine on the outside, and Dusty Hart is there toward the rail, and Bessarabian, she's a beaten filly today. Savannah Dancer, they're coming to the wire. Outstandingly, she's charging on the inside. They're coming
at the far turn. Franz Valentine, involved in a bumping incident, was disqualified. Outstandingly, and jockey Walter Guerra celebrated as 22-1 long shot winners. The long shot from 84, the favorite at the moment, of course, the 4-horse Klein Lucas entry at 9-5, Jeannie Jones at 2-1. Let's look at past performances.
$1 million on the line for the talented juvenile fillies. Dream Team. This is one of the horses to beat. From the former basketball coach Dean Wayne Lucas, his own quintet going in here.
A remarkable hand that one trainer could have so many fillies ready for the biggest race of the year. It's remarkable. Here we're looking at Dream Team. She's beating her stablemate Lost Kitty. They almost always beat stablemates. There are so many of them. Whenever you see a 2-year-old filly race, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them come from the D. Wayne Lucas team. These, Dream Team, Lost Kitty, 2 of the best. But there was one in New York, a late bloomer. Her name, Classic Crown. She's a half-sister to Breeders' Cup champion, Chief's Crown. Here she is in the Frisette, a 1-mile, 1-turn race, same as today's race. And in this race, Angel Cordero Jr. said, all I was doing with her was training her for the Breeders' Cup.
And this was going to be most interesting to watch because Lucas has a loaded bench. No question about that this afternoon here at Hollywood Park.
And we'll update the odds. The 4-horse entry opened at 2-1, now has been bet down to 9-5. Lost Kitty, Blue Jean Baby, Dream Team, and Overall. As you see, the second choice in the wagering is Jeannie Jones, number 5. And the third choice at 5-2 is another Lucas horse, Classic Crown, the half-sister to Chief's Crown, the champion.
So we are now 5 minutes from post time. Tommy Lasorda with us. I bet his hunch bet is Tortellini Roma. This Breeders' Cup day has begun with an upset in the sprint. Very subtle at 16-1. A filly beating the favored Groovy. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies run at 1 mile on the main track. 12 fillies will start at the end of the mile chute. A long run to the far turn of more than a half mile, so the jockeys will have plenty of time to sort out their position. As is the case in all dirt races today, the race ends at the second finish line. Well, Harv's 100. Here's a recap of how he has done starting this day. As you see the bullseye that marks the finish line on the main stretch. Well, Groovy finishes second. No payoff there. He's working with 90.
And Harvey, are you ready to try for race 2?
I'm really not so bad off. I'm only out 10. This is like a victory for me. Groovy did, you know, what can you do? 4-horse entries, never good value in the bets. I happen to like a filly in here a lot. New York filly, Classic Crown. I like her. I'm going to play $20 on her. Cordero, the outside, she won the Frisette. I'm going to put a saver here. $5 to win on Valkyria. She won at Calder, and every year we seem to see a good Calder runner down here.
Well, I always like Ginzys. My mother always bet them. I'm going to try Jeannie Jones in here.
Charlie Whittingham. Why not?
All right.
Classic Crown, one of the top choices at 5-2, the 9-horse, but the entry still the favorite at 8-5. And a lot of action on Jeannie Jones, Shoemaker's mount, the number 5 at 2-1.
Wayne Lucas with 5 fillies in this race. And he's paid a lot of money for most of those fillies. He says he goes to the yearling sales with an eye to pick up fillies because they have residual value. If you pay a lot of money for a filly and she still can't run, she has value as a broodmare, where a colt does not.
His path crossing that of Al McGuire back in his basketball coaching days in Wisconsin. He said he learned a lot from basketball. He applies here everything but calling timeout.
Well, he says, too, in this race, there are only a couple of other horses in the field that he fears. And he says in a 5-on-2 fast break, you ought to score.
Sharon Smith has been logging the comments of the jockeys as to the condition of the track after that first race. Let's get that report.
Well, the problem is that nobody's really sure what that first race showed. I had just talked to Wayne Lucas a couple of moments ago, and he says it was a result of a first quarter in 21 seconds. Groovy did struggle on the rail, so I think we'll be watching what's going on the rail in the next couple of races, but we can't conclude that it's impossible to win on the lead or that it favors a horse coming from off the pace. We didn't see enough in that first race. We'll have to keep looking. Dick?
Blue Jean Baby 1A would have been ridden by Gary Stevens.
Well, Dick, I think she may be coming up to her best race, as Wayne Lucas has been saying all week long in the past couple of weeks. She is getting fit now, and she's going to be up close to the pace, and I think she's got a great chance.
Gary, she races in a bar shoe. Any problem with that?
Well, just a traction problem. She may not get as good a hold of the racetrack, this sandy racetrack, as most of the horses would.
Ruff?
All loading quite quietly behind me. We had a bit of a panic about Dream Team. She seemed to be soaking wet. We thought she'd sweated up a lot. And in fact, they just showered her down because she'd got warm and she'd now cooled off.
Ready for the start. Here's Tom Durkin.
Well, Wayne Lucas comes to the table holding a strong hand here. He has 5 stakes winning aces: Lost Kitty, Blue Jean Baby, Dream Team, Overall, and Classic Crown. Some possible trump cards in this deck of 2-year-old fillies, including Valkyria. They're in the gate. And they're off. And Overall comes away running for the lead, and Blue Jean Baby is right there. Those two are head-to-head early as the field moves up the backstretch, and Jeannie Jones is sent through in between horses. Now she's right there running third. Tomorrow's Child is a close fourth toward the inside. Lost Kitty is up close early, racing fifth. Valkyria sixth on the far outside. She's only 4.5 lengths off the lead. Close in is now racing seventh, followed by Pearly Gold, now in 8th position. And the Classic Crown just off the leaders, now about 7 lengths. Dream Team is next. Then far the back, it's Epitome, and Tortellini Roma is the trailer as the field moves into the far turn. And Jeannie Jones emerges from the pack with the lead. The leader at the half-mile pole. The opening quarter in 22 flat, and the half in a quick 44 seconds flat, and the field rounds the far turn. It's Jeannie Jones toward the inside. Overall is right there challenging for the lead. Valkyria right there to join him, and now as the field comes to the quarter pole, Valkyria is the leader by a head toward the inside. Jeannie Jones, and those two are full out at the top of the stretch, and Jeannie Jones in front and pulling away as they come into the final furlong. Overall desperate to stay with her. Classic Crown is putting in a late run on the extreme outside, and Pearly Gold and Dream Team, and they're coming now inside the final furlong. Jeannie Jones, Shoemaker trying to get her home and toward the inside. Epitome is putting in a late run. A 16th to come. Jeannie Jones is staggering. Here comes Epitome on the outside with the final surge, and they hit the wire together. Jeannie Jones and Epitome was right at her neck as they hit the wire. Those two finishing together. Jeannie Jones battling out, and she ran a very game race this afternoon. Epitome coming from far back, and it's a photo finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
Oh, my, what a stretch run with Bill Shoemaker trying to guide Jeannie Jones home down that long stretch, and Epitome rallying from the outside under the artful ride of Pat Day. How did you see it? Let's look at our NBC photo finish line. Jeannie Jones on the inside and Epitome on the outside. That may be a dead heat. That is as close, and that's going to take some studying from the stewards. Gary Stevens, you couldn't pick a winner.
We may have just seen our first dead heat in the Breeders' Cup, Dick.
It looked awfully close on the NBC photo finish. Epitome, you see right there, she was flying in the final 16th of a mile under the patient Pat Day. Jeannie Jones trying to hold on, and no wonder she was staggering a bit. They went the early part of the race just as fast as it did in the sprint. 22 seconds for the first quarter mile, and a half in 44. Here's the NBC photo finish again. Wow, they're right together. I don't know.
You heard the reaction in the background of this huge crowd at Hollywood Park as they saw it on the monitors on the infield, and those that had $2 on Jeannie Jones, the 5, or Epitome, both feel that they might have had a winner. What a finish of this Juvenile Fillies mile feature in this Breeders' Cup. Has Bill Shoemaker won his first Breeders' Cup ride, or did Pat Day take it away from him in the final strides?
Pat Day had a lot to do with this filly even running in the Breeders' Cup. As you look at Jeannie Jones, also involved in that photo. The Pocahontas Stakes at Churchill Downs was what was pointed for Epitome, but after she had run well in the Alcibiades Stakes at Keeneland, John Bell said, well, I don't know which race to go to, but since Pat Day is riding at the Breeders' Cup, let's come to California. Here's Sharon.
Well, I got Charlie Whittingham here, who's busy looking to watch the photo finish, and we don't really know at this point. What do you think, Charlie?
I think it was awful close. I don't know whether I think the other one might have got a...
I think, obviously, the very, very fast middle fractions did quite a bit.
I think that kind of hurt is that little middle in there.
But you got to be proud of her.
Well, she run a big race today, and she's not seasoned as good as she should be, probably.
Well, we'll let him go back to waiting for the results of the photo finish, and we'll go back upstairs.
Yeah, they're studying that. Jeannie Jones, by the way, the 5-horse, named for John Mabie's friend, who has written 18 cookbooks and a syndicated cooking column for King Features. She lives in La Jolla, California, and she brings out carrots to feed the filly Jeannie Jones in her honor. And the photo shows that the winner is Epitome. On the final bob at the wire, Epitome. The photo finish shows is the winner, a Kentucky bred, guided by Pat Day. The trainer, Phil Hauswald, had 1987 Kentucky Derby favorite Demons Be Gone, who bled and was pulled out. And the celebration worthy of the day.
She is a Kentucky bred, winner of the Pocahontas Stakes in her last start, second in the Alcibiades Stakes at Keeneland before that, and really seems to be coming on toward the end of her 2-year-old campaign. Epitome might be able to claim the championship. We'll see.
Her 7th start, her biggest win, obviously, only her 2nd victory. She broke her maiden at Keeneland on October 13th, and she's $1 million filly today. He has been a big part of the lore of this Breeders' Cup Day. What a great ride, and it's official. Epitome, the winner, pays $62.80, $18.40, and $4.40. Jeannie Jones at $4.60 and $2.40 in the show horse Dream Team, part of the Klein Lucas entry show price of $2.20. And the daily double, how about that to open your day? $1,055 for a $2 wager. Let's go down to the winner's circle.
And a very happy gentleman. Mr. Bell from Pittsburgh, lives in Kentucky these days, and it's wonderful to see a man like you win here, because you've been involved in thoroughbred racing for a long time. You've got over 170 going around right now. This was some win.
It was some win. That's right. It was a miracle.
A miracle.
A miracle. That's what it was.
What a run at the end.
It was a miracle. That's the way I dreamt about it, but I didn't think it would happen.
We're going to take a look at the replay, and Harvey has the very happy trainer here.
Phil, this track has been favoring speed. This is some off the pace moves.
I tell you, she really ran good, Harvey. She, just run this filly down. She kind of opened up quite a distance, and I didn't know whether she could catch her, but last part of Pat really got after her and got her up in time.
It's what we call running against the grain. Charlie thinks that his filly might have reacted to all the cameras by the finish line.
Well, I don't know what happened with any of them, except that the one got in front. I was awful happy for.
Practically a dead heat. Does it make up for Demons Be Gone?
Well, I tell you, it's hard for, to compare the two, but it's sure a heck of a thrill for all of us.
It's nice to have a win.
It really is. Mr. Bell, I got to ask you, people are always telling me that they never pronounce this horse's name right. Let's get it straight now, because people are going to want to know.
It is Epitome.
Okay, and it is a winner.
Right.
It is the epitome.
It is the
Congratulations to both of you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
As you look at Pat Day, a great riding champion. Remember the shot of him in the first Hollywood Park, the first Breeders' Cup, when he won on Wild Again and looked to the skies as if to say, this is the day. Well, he started another gloriously on a 30-1 long shot. By Merv Griffin to owner John Bell of Lexington, Kentucky. And there's the winning rider, Pat Day. He's with Sharon Smith.
I'm with Pat Day, who has to be one of the happiest people here. What a year it's been for you. First, you have to pull up a Derby favorite for the same trainer, and you come back and win a Breeders' Cup race.
Well, I said after the Derby that God's got it all in control, and everything happens for a reason, and I guess a bad beginning, good ending. It's just, I'm just so happy for Mr. Bell, the owner, and Mr. Oswald, the trainer, and everybody involved, and just praise God. I'm happy to be here, and things are going well.
You had to be worried at the 8th pole, though. You had quite a bit of ground to make up.
Well, I did, and then about the 16th pole, the horse that she was on looked like she kind of stuck her toes in the ground, and at that point, I really got hopeful that we could get there before the wire did, and it worked out that way.
Okay, we got to let Pat go to accept some trophies. So Pat's going.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Pat.
Each year, approximately 50,000 thoroughbreds are foaled in the U.S. Half of those actually make it into training. Even fewer race and win. Only a precious few are successful enough to make it to a Breeders' Cup. 3 years ago, we randomly selected 3 foals with the thought of tracing their careers from the foaling barns to the racetracks.
Yes, but it's been quite a bumpy old road. Remember, one foal dropped dead in the paddock in the fall of the very first year after reacting badly to an inoculation. That meant 2 foals left, 1 colt, 1 filly. They were 2-year-olds this season. But let's go back to the beginning. For the filly, it was a May nativity. The place, the highly professional Woolmack farm in Kentucky, but the reaction of her dam icy Trina is as old as motherhood. Yet with the racehorse, cradle days don't last the year. Weaning comes in October, and the first disorientations of the paddocks lead into the snows of winter. Running free, but it's all to a plan. By the summer, she's off to the land of the Longhorns. Summer maybe, yet also the beginning of school days. These are the first disciplined steps along the road to the racetrack. And at this stage, we also have a name. She's by Inverness Drive out of Icy Trina. She's to be called Champagne Ice. But before running, there's a veterinary check on the knees. Without good knees, there's no racehorse. Look at this. Here's what a knee's like on a 6-week-old foal. The dark areas, the still unclosed growth plates. Here's Champagne Ice's knees, first time in the clinic. The growth plates still unclosed. This was December '86.
These were taken approximately 4 months later on April the 3rd, 1987. And you'll see that this line is gone. Now we have solid bone here, and this growth plate ceases to exist.
So she's ready for work. Early summer, her second breeze, 3/8 of a mile, and she's getting the hang of it.
She did real well. She pulled away from the colt, you know, about a neck and wanted to go on ahead and outrunning. And that's the idea, is to teach them how to outrun another horse. You want them to want to win.
Now she's back in Kentucky, and her first race was scheduled for Churchill Downs about 2 weeks ago. But she had a bit of colic a couple of days beforehand and won't run this year. On to our other foal, who also started life in Kentucky. He was by Golden Act, his mother added luster, and at Spendthrift Farm he started, despite the bumps, with the bluest chip upbringing any foal can have. But it's a commercial life. By November he's for sale, and born as late as May, his physical presence isn't as good as his breeding. By the time the hammer falls, $27,000 is a modest price, although he's got believers.
Factors such as the pedigree, his sire Golden Act has a very good filly right now by the name of Gaudry.
Through the seasons, our fellow's growing, but not a lot, and he's got to go back to the sales with the horse market on the decline. It takes an Englishman to take a chance with him.
I bought him because I felt he might be overlooked on account of being a late foal, and also by a stallion, Golden Act, who, should we say, he's not the most fashionable stallion at the moment, and yet I think he too might be a little underrated.
The winter break is in the Florida sun, and it's to prepare for another sale in February, a sale where the exhibits have to actually show their paces. But the market is still on the way down, and as the horses gallop past, we're getting an awful lot closer to reality. You can find buyers, but they're going to take a careful look, and it's no coincidence that our new owners, the Inganamorts from Philadelphia, have got a really good reason to pay what's become quite a low-grade price.
Well, we were basically looking for a Golden Act horse because we have a horse at home whose name is Entitled To. We bought at this sale 2 years ago, and we had a lot of success for him.
So he follows his relation to Philadelphia Park. At last he's got a name, Golden Lust. And although these early gait trials showed promise, he's since had an abscess on his foot, and so he too will have to wait until the new year before racing for real.
Many meanings to racing luck. They're like your own children. How glorious it is when they perform well, and how heartbreaking it is when things don't work out quite the way you had hoped. Let's go down to Sharon Smith.
And I'm with John Nayrud, who does have a horse in the race today. The next race, the Distaff, that's Clabber Girl, the #1 horse. And of course, John Nayrud has been a trainer for many, many years, and then a manager of an important breeding operation, an owner. And this is special. It's still special after all these years.
You haven't mentioned my specialty. I've been a breeder for 25 years. I bred this mare. I owned her mother, her grandmother, and her great-grandmother.
Mares are very significant. We always refer to her as an Aladar filly, and of course Aladar is a wonderful thing to have on a pedigree, but the mares are so important as well, aren't they?
With my breeding, the mare is all important. I can forgive a little bit with the sire, but I cannot forgive anything in the mare. To me, she is everything. She must be beautiful, she must have a beautiful head, and she must look like a feminine lady if she's going to be a good brood mare.
Of course, in Clabber Girl, you've got a gorgeous big chestnut mare. And let's go back upstairs.
And of course, as the horses take the field, these fillies and mares, everyone's got to be thinking long shot, but there's a heavy favorite in Infinidad.
$1 million, the Distaff over 1.25 miles. Let's take a look at the field. #1 is the filly that was John Nayrud's, Clabber Girl, owned by John Nayrud, who helped out Wayne Lucas, started him, and of course is a Hall of Fame trainer himself. This filly has never won a stake, but is placed in 6 and typically comes from off the pace. #2, North Sider, purchased for $1,225,000 a week ago by prominent veterinarian Dr. William O. Reed. Lucas had been part owner and still trains her. She's earned over $1 million. She's won 3 Grade 1 races this year. Dangerous on the lead, but 1.25 miles might be beyond her range.
Tom, here's the one to beat. #3, Infinidad. Bred in Chile, currently at 3-5.
She was a Grade 1 winner in Chile too, and could be champion in this country. She's more suited to 1.25 miles than any other filly in the field. Her best race was over this same 1.25 miles at Hollywood Park, beating North Sider in the Grade 1 Vanity. Maybe she'll give Whittingham that first win. #4, Ms. Margie. She's never won a stakes race, but was second to Sacawista in her last start, the Spinster Stakes. She's trained by 77-year-old Joe Bolero, who was a jockey, and in 1927 rode the winner of the first race at Arlington Park. He once rode a horse owned by Al Capone, who said, be on top of the quarter pole, and he was.
He better be. Well, you know, you see a name like this, Sacawista, you like to think of a beautiful Indian princess. Nope. It's named after a clump of grass that grows in Texas.
But she might look awfully good because she has a chance to be a champion 3-year-old filly, perhaps with a win today. She tends to drop in when changing leads in the stretch and was disqualified from 2 stakes victories this year. Infinidad beat her 11 lengths in the Vanity in July, but Randy Romero, aboard for the first time, took her wire to wire in the Spinster in her last out, and this track should favor her speed. #6, Ooey Baby, longest shot in the field in the morning line. She scored her first graded stakes win in her last start, the Grade 3 Linda Vista Stakes. Takes a shot at the heavyweights today.
The smallest field for any of our $7 million or more races. Only 6 in the Distaff. The favorite, Infinidad, still at 3-5. And the second choice, #5, Sacawista. The speed in the race will probably see Sacawista on the lead at 3-1. Well, now let's go back a week to the Breeders' Cup Steeplechase.
Fair Hill in Maryland was the scene for the Breeders' Cup Steeplechase, a showcase for one of the finest steeplechase horses in history, Flatterer, looking for an unprecedented 5th consecutive steeplechase championship. Fair Hill beautiful on October 31st, and Flatterer well placed early in the 2 5/8 mile run over 19 fences. But a little less than halfway through the race, Flatterer left the course, pulled up by his jockey with a bow tendon, which may cause his retirement. He's currently on trainer Jonathan Shepard's farm in Pennsylvania. But the race continued.
Did not make the jump.
And with Flatterer out, it was anybody's contest. There was only one spill. Chamsky went down, but both horse and rider uninjured in this spill, which occurred as they came to the top of the straight in the Breeders' Cup Steeplechase. And it was the French horse Gacko who pulled away over the final fences and through the straight, posting an impressive victory. With a purse of $250,000, this is the world's richest open steeplechase, and the winner's share of the purse boosted Gacko's earnings past $600,000, the most ever for a steeplechase horse. And 3 years ago, this horse was claimed for just $10,000. Gacko of France, winner of the Breeders' Cup Steeplechase.
Deserving of royal credit. A jockey doesn't totally make the horse, but no question some of the best riders can improve a performance. Tebb suggests that even the horse's sense of Cordero can make for a better picture.
Santa Anita. Breeders' Cup Distaff, a race that confirmed the 1986 Horse of the Year, the Silver Bullet.
Ladies Secret in front by 4. Friend Valentine, outstandingly. Classy Kathy, and here is a brilliant champion. Ladies Secret, another flawless performance.
Oh, what a memory. That light at Santa Anita shining on that beautiful gray Lady Secret. And there's a key light today on an Infinidad, the 3-5 favorite. Number 3 in the Distaff.
The Breeders' Cup Distaff. Charlie Whittingham, the bald eagle, the Hall of Famer, has shown restraint in his schedule for Infinidad. This horse figures to be the favorite.
She'll be facing Northsider. She's faced her before. Northsider, another Lucas-trained filly. Here they are in the Vanity Handicap. Same racetrack, same distance. Watch how easily Infinidad puts away Northsider. But remember this, the weights will change today. An 8-pound shift in favor of Northsider. But Charlie has done this well. Infinidad has been pointed for today's race all year. She's ready. There's no question about it. The mare is the one to beat today.
Sacoista may challenge. She's grown up. The 3-year-old Raji Baba filly has earned better than $269,000. But Harvey, she's lost almost that much because of disqualifications.
But she learned how to run straight in Keeneland at the Spinster. She doesn't want 1.25 miles, but she'll be loose on the lead. Catch her if you can.
No question about the favorite here. The fans have made Infinidad the 3-5 favorite under 18-year-old jockey Corey Black.
Ready for the $1 million Breeders' Cup Distaff, the $1 million race. Smallest field, just 6 fillies and mares. They'll start their 1.25 mile trip in front of the grandstand. Hollywood Park's track is 1 1/8 miles, so the run for home is a full 1/4 mile. Well, Joey Brown once said that I follow horses that follow other horses. Well, let's go to Harvey Pack's pool. No one's perfect. 2 races, and he's down to $65. Jay?
No, nobody's perfect. You know, somebody asked me what a Ginsey is. I bet Jeannie Jones. A Ginsey's a horse whose name has 2 words in it, and they both start with the same letter. Those are the Ginseys that I like to bet from time to time.
You know what a loser is? A loser is a horse I bet.
Right.
It's the same thing.
I'm going to pass this time. What do you like?
In the real world, I would pass too. Infinidad looks very good. Charlie is about to get it. But Sacoista is going to be loose on the lead. Lucas hasn't got anything. They'll have to catch her, and at least I won't be taking 3-5, so I'll throw $10 up in the air on Sacoista.
All right, Dick.
Ruff Scott is following up on the comment made by trainer Charlie Whittingham that Jeannie Jones shied from some photographers in the last race. Ruff, what have you learned?
Yes, there's been a bit of a problem down here, Dick, because there's such a huge posse of photographers. The guards have been down and moved them back a bit, but there must have been, 50 of them all hammering away with the lenses as the filly came towards the line. And when you think she only got beaten by an inch or so, every little bit counts. Bill Shoemaker said that she did just stop a wee bit, and it is a problem. We want to try and publicise the Breeders' Cup as much as possible. If you overdo it, the horses can't run. I wonder if Gary Stevens has ever had that problem of too many cameras at the line.
Ruff, I've had that problem quite a few times, not necessarily with young horses, but it is more of a problem with young horses as Jeannie Jones has had a lack of experience, and it's been a big problem in the past with even older horses. So I think that they've definitely got to move some cameras around down there.
Gary, but you felt as you watched that race, you made the comment to me that it certainly was not to be interpreted as a bad ride by Shoemaker.
Definitely not. Shoe had to make a decision going into the turn. He was getting into a spot. He had to make a little bit of a move. The track is definitely playing for speed, so I think Shoe made the right decision there. Pat Day just rode an excellent race. He got through every jump of the way, and I would have to score Pat Day 100 on that ride.
There's the star on the back of the silks of Infinidad, and many here wagering at 3-5 feel that that is an appropriate symbol. Sharon?
You know, a lot of people that will be supporting Infinidad may not be wagering, but they'll really be watching closely. She's a special pet around the barn of Charlie Whittingham. She likes being brought treats. She likes to be scratched and rubbed. And in fact, the people told Corey Black before her last race that she likes to be scratched right in the middle of the head, just above the forelock. So after she won, he scratched her right there. So keep your eyes out today. If Infinidad wins, she might get a special little scratch right on the top of the head.
Obviously, the silks of Infinidad are the gray and yellow, and Corey Black only 18 in the irons. The star is on Sakawista, so maybe that is a hunch indeed. Maybe that is the direction to go, and Sakawista at the moment is second best at 5-2 in the eyes of the wagerers.
And what a combination. 74-year-old Charlie Whittingham, the trainer of Infinidad, and Corey Black, 18-year-old in the saddle. Gary, what about strategy in a 6-horse field? When you have a heavy favorite like Infinidad and you're riding one of the other horses, do you tend to keep that favorite in sight the entire way?
Yes, but they're going to have a difficult time doing that, because I would expect Infinidad to be last early on in the race, and I think everybody's going to be pretty much riding their own race in this short field.
Gary, the fact that Infinidad likes to run from behind, would a smaller field help or hinder that approach?
Well, if there's a lack of pace in the race, which there may be, it looks like Sakawista may be the only speed. It's going to hinder her. You like to see a larger field where there's going to be some more pace up front, and you really don't have to worry about them going fast enough, because you know that they're going to be stopping at the end.
So will Corey Black stay closer to the lead than if this were, say, a 12-horse field?
I think Corey's very confident in his mare, and he's going to just let her run her own type of race, let her run the race that she's run in the past, and that's the go ahead and let her drop back and let her finish up at the end.
They're starting to load them right in front of the main grandstand here at Hollywood Park. And in case you've just joined us, we've had 2 long shot winners, very subtle and epitome at 16-1 and 30-1. Here's Tom Durkin as they load the gate.
Well, it's a small field, but it should provide a classic racing confrontation. Speed versus stamina, the speed horse, Sakawista, and the stretch running Infinidad. This race has crowned 3 champions in its 3 runnings. Wayne Lucas has saddled the last 2 winners. He has 3 shots here: Clabber Girl, Northsider, and Sakawista. They're in the gate. They're off. Sakawista out fast along with Infinidad. Clabber Girl and Northsider right there. So as they pass us for the first time, it's Sakawista now who's up to take the lead. Ooey Baby reserved off her on the outside. Clabber Girl is nestled in behind the leaders down on the rails, saving ground. Northsider is running in 4th position, and then it's Ms. Margie 3 wide as the field enters the turn. Infinidad is the early trailer, but she's just 5 lengths off the lead. The opening quarter, a moderate 23 2/5 seconds. They head for the back stretch. Sakawista on an unchallenged lead, out there by a length. Ooey Baby just off her flank on the outside. Clabber Girl saving ground all the way. Ms. Margie is now beginning to move steadily from the back of the pack. She's 5 lengths off the leaders. Northsider and a gap of 4 back to an unhurried Infinidad. The half 47-1, and it's Sakawista with an advantage now. She has led through an easy half mile of 47 1/5 seconds and is still on an uncontested lead. Ooey Baby second on the outside. Clabber Girl edging closer toward the rail. Ms. Margie is running 4th and is still 3 wide. Northsider and Infinidad is 7 lengths off the lead, a half mile from the wire. It's Sakawista still moving easily on the lead. Ooey Baby and Clabber Girl now trying to catch her. Sakawista with something left for the final 3 furlongs, still clear by 2.5. Clabber Girl is racing second. Ooey Baby is third. Ms. Margie is roused now. Infinidad will put her run in on the rail, and here she comes, a 1/4 mile out. Sakawista set down for the drive. She leads by 2.5 lengths as they come to the final furlong. Clabber Girl attacks on the outside. Second, Infinidad still 6 lengths back. They're in the final furlong. Randy Romero putting the up to Sakawista, trying to hold on with her. Clabber Girl can't get to her. They're running out of ground, and it's going to be Sakawista wire to wire. Clabber Girl was second, and farther back it's a photo for show. Randy Romero, no doubt about it, he put Sakawista right on the lead, and she went about her task, zipped through relatively moderate early fractions, and had plenty left for the long stretch here at Hollywood Park.
Terrific call. Tom Durkin had it all away as if he was right there with the winner Sakawista, and Randy Romero paced well, set the pace, but didn't burn herself out. Had plenty left down the stretch, and an impressive win for Sakawista. You bet it'll be more than a clump of grass waiting for her back in the barn as she wins this $1 million distaff for Dwayne Lucas. Lucas, the leading trainer in the States again this year, has his first Breeders' Cup win today. Saw earlier Dwayne Lucas saddled Lady Secret last year to the win in this race, and now it's Sakawista, the winner unofficially. Clabber Girl second, Ooey Baby third, and the story again, a favorite out of the money. Infinidad finished fourth in the photo. Let's go back to what happened in the gate.
And Sakawista, ridden for only the second time by Randy Romero, throws in a duplicate performance of her race in the Spinster. She's number 5, and she'll come away running. In the Spinster Stakes, 1 1/8 miles at Keeneland, she led wire to wire, and Randy Romero, knowing that victory under her belt, knowing that this track is favoring speed, goes right to the front, makes an easy lead. She went a 1/2 mile in 47-1, and for all intents and purposes, the race was over. And Sakawista makes it wire to wire in the distaff. Sharon?
Well, Charlie Whittingham's had a couple of disappointments today. This one probably the bigger disappointment because she didn't run a bit. Could you tell what was wrong?
She didn't run at all, but she got on a slow. They were a slow pace, and she needs a fast pace where they come back to her, and she didn't make her run.
Any idea of why?
Well, just because if the pace had been fast, then she'd have been better off with it.
Well, she did look a little bit wet at the gate. I wonder if maybe she wasn't.
The rest of them. When they gallop all the way around, she wasn't any wetter because she's got a winter coat on her.
Did she jump at the cameras? I know you were concerned about Jeannie
because
Jones.
she couldn't see the camera. All them other horses were in front of her. That other 2-year-old filly was green. She saw the cameras, and they shouldn't be there.
Charlie Whittingham, who's not a real happy man at this point.
Well, look where they are. They're green horse.
Good going.
We got a lot of action down here. I have Wayne Lucas, who seems to own this race. Wayne, I almost jinxed you. I picked the horse, but speed is dangerous. Now, she's been disqualified a couple of times. What did you do to get her head together?
Well, you know, she was switching her leads and dropping over a little bit, and I think it surprised riders that we hadn't had on her before, Harvey. What had actually happened is we switched riders a couple times, and they didn't get to know her. Randy knows her. He's got it down, and I think 47 and change when she was rocking along like that, I thought we'd be tough.
Even I thought so, despite my pick. But at least you're off the schneid. You lost a few tough ones earlier.
Isn't it a wonderful sport? We were so down a half hour ago, and now suddenly we're up on top of the heap.
How do you look there?
Well, he's rocking along here, and he's going to make her switch her lead here. He's going to really get after her and make her switch it. And Lafitte thought he had dead aim on her right here. He was real pleased with the way he was coming up to it. But she's on her left lead here. Now watch. He's going to just pick her right up, and boom, there she goes. And that's all.
She's a different filly. We didn't think 1 1/4 miles was her ball game, but when you're loose at the top of the stretch, it helps.
It always does. I like horses that run fast and stay around for 1 1/4 miles.
And with me now is Barry Beal, along with Bob French, 2 men from down around Midland, Texas, who've done very well. You purchased this horse at Keeneland for, seems to me, about $670,000.
That's correct.
Well worth it.
Darn right. You just went over $1 million today.
Mr. French, you used to handle some quarter horses like Mr. Lucas, didn't you?
Yeah, this is nearly as much fun as quarter horse racing.
I'm sure it is. Congratulations. Good luck from here.
Thank you very much.
Dick.
All right, the official results.
Sakawista paying $7.80, $4, and $4.20, paying more to show than to place. Clabber Girl was second. Ooey Baby was third. You see the exacta payoff. Wayne Lucas, the trainer of Sakawista, with his 3rd straight victory in this race and his 5th overall, by far the leading trainer of Breeders' Cup winners.
And favored Infinidad at 3-5, a disappointing 4th. The pattern continues. Tough day this Breeders' Cup day for the favorites. Trophy presentation, some stars in the winner's circle. Burt Backrack, his wife, Carol Bayer-Sager, presenting the trophy to Barry Beal, Lloyd French. Boy, Midland, Texas, been in the news. Good news, too. Involved there a few months ago, and now the winners of the distaff. The official order of finish.
Infinidad, the 3-5 favorite, finishing only 4th in the race, beating 2 with North Sider, who sold for over $1 million just over a week ago, finishing 6th and last.
Tom, it's a big football day around the nation, and one of considerable interest, this final At University Park, Pennsylvania, Penn State defeats Notre Dame and upset 21-20. Well, the Breeders' Cup has allowed fans in the United States to appreciate the considerable talent of foreign horses, especially on the grass. And for those who believed, there have been some terrific long shot payoffs. Among those who cooed, "I told you so," Bruff Scott.
One of the features of the last few years has been a series of major upsets when European-based horses have put it over American stars on the turf at enormous prices. In the 1983 Arlington Million, it was Ptolomeo who took John Henry at 38-1. The following year, Lashkari took the inaugural Breeders' Cup turf race at a price of more than 50-1. In 1985, a little-known French horse named Noble Fighter stepped off the plane to win Belmont Park's Turf Classic at 55-1. And then, last year's Breeders' Cup Mile was taken by France's Last Tycoon, also sent off at a healthy 35-1. Big odds, and I backed Ptolomeo. But perhaps we shouldn't be surprised at these prices. After all, the European animals are unknown to American horse players. They're racing a long way from home, of very different tracks, a very different rhythm of race, and they're trained at home in a very different fashion. Nobody knows more about this than John Gosden, the California-based trainer of Royal Heroine, winner of the 1984 Breeders' Cup Mile, and a man whose early career was spent in Europe.
Our horses aren't out for very long here. I'd say they probably go down to the track, they're back at the barn in about 25 minutes. They're probably out a total of an hour and a half a day. They don't do the extensive length of exercise that they do in Europe. On the other hand, you can't do that around here. It's like training on a railway platform. There's always people coming and going, everything's moving, and if you keep a horse out too long, they'll tend to get nervous and unsettled by it. They like to go out, do their work, and come back. Whereas in Europe, they might do 2 canters or gallops with them in the morning, or 3 sometimes. Here, we'll just do 1 long one of 1.5 miles or 2 miles. Maybe they'll what we call 2-minute lick, half speed the second mile, that kind of thing. It's a different style of training simply to suit the different circumstance. And if you went back to Europe, you'd probably swing. When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
And in the past 2 years, there's been success in the Breeders' Cup turf for both European and American trainers. In 1985, it was Pebbles who won brilliantly at Aqueduct for English trainer Clive Britton.
After she won the Champion Stakes, I only had 3 weeks in which to prepare for Aqueduct. So her work was kept to the minimum, and she did 2 half-speed workouts on sand and 1 on grass. And that was the extent of her training for Aqueduct.
And in 1986 at Santa Anita, the Breeders' Cup turf went to Manila, trained by American Hall of Famer Leroy Jolly.
Our schedule for Manila was a little heavier than most American horses would go through because they race more often. In his case, he didn't run from September the 27th until the day of the Breeders' Cup. He worked a mile 3 times out here in California, 7 days apart each work. Each work getting a little faster. Finally, the last mile was a mile 1:37 3. And then on the Wednesday prior to the Breeders' Cup, he worked 5/8 and 59-1 or something on the dirt. And it worked out very well for him.
So big differences, and the great thing is the Breeders' Cup races are bringing them together. The only snag is that as you American players learn more about the European horses, those lovely big prices may be a thing of the past.
Big prices from Bruff are a thing of the past. As it turns out, American horse players do follow European horses. Winners of Group 1, Group 2, very competitive here. But look at the morning line. The good American horse, Double Feint. Double Feint's being held now at 5-1. But the horse from Europe, Miesk, is 4-1. So we're seeing right there that there is an interest in the European horses. We have a lot of confidence in them. The knock on them is a mile on our turf courses with riders who are used to those straightaway miles. Milligram, the other horse from Europe, the one who beats Miesk, is at 7-2. So I got to tell you, Bruff, they're picking up on the foreign horses, but let's see if the riders can get them to the finish line.
One of the things that's happening now is the crowd here at Hollywood Park acknowledging the strength of the foreign entries and their success in this race in Breeders' Cup Pass, and they've made the 7 Sonic Lady, the filly daughter of Nuryev, the 5-2 favorite currently.
This is one of the most interesting races on the card today, Dick, because it's really a mixture of horses from all divisions, both sides of the Atlantic. This race always seems to draw a diverse field. It has produced a couple of champions, Royal Heroine, who was champion turf female, and Cozine, who was champion turf male after his victory. Sharon's in the paddock.
You know, one of the horses we'll all be paying attention to is Temperance Sill, a handsome gray. He's the number 1A. He's a horse you may remember that a lot of people had as a Kentucky Derby favorite until just about a week before the big race this spring. And then he got sick and didn't race again until the summer. Now, he did come back after that illness and had an impressive victory in the Swap Stakes. Looked like he was back. He's run a couple of times since then, perhaps not quite so impressively, but he is trying the turf. A mile should be a good distance. He may and well be the only speed in the race, so maybe Charlie Whittingham will not be disappointed in the Breeders' Cup turf today after a couple of disappointments earlier. So keep your eye on Temperance Sill. Just because he's gray, you won't be able to pick him out. There are a couple of other grays in the field, but he's a particularly handsome specimen of a gray racehorse. Dick.
And Angel Cordero will be aboard. Check that. Bill Shoemaker, right, aboard Temperance Sill, part of the entry with Les Belvedere, ridden by Cordero. The grass course, Gary Stevens, were you able to get any feeling from the riders as to the condition and how it might affect this race?
Well, they said that the turf course is in excellent condition. It's been a firm race course all week long, and it looks like speed, the same as the main track, has been a little detrimental here all week long. I think that Temperance Sill may pull off an upset here just because there's not a whole lot of speed in the race.
There's double feint. Sonic Lady, of course, there's two thoughts here. Is there not, Tom Hammond? Some of the European trainers brought their horses over at the very last minute. Others, and Sonic Lady, the 7, came over a month ago to acclimate to California training and, well, even to the jet lag, I suppose.
That's right. Trainer Michael Stout, when Sonic Lady ran in this race a year ago, brought her over just a couple of days before the race. This time, though, he brought her here a month in advance to get used to the warmer weather, to get used to the track, to get used to the method of training here, and we'll see if it pays off today. What about it, Bruff?
Well, it's a very interesting situation, and indeed the whole condition of Sonic Lady and her stable companion Milligram raise what is the most contentious issue facing the Breeders' Cup at the present time, the issue of permitted medication, drugs to be short. You see, both Sonic Lady and Milligram, as you say, came over a month ago. They were training here on much harder surfaces than they're used to at home. And so trainer Michael Stout decided to use the butazolidine, the most common form of painkiller, to allow them, in his eyes, to perform to their best. Well, almost most of today's runners here will have also had butazolidine, and some 15 of them at least, including Sonic Lady, will have also had Lasix, the diuretic which is used, permitted use here to prevent internal bleeding. The horsemen here argue, and that's a very strong lobby, that this just allows their athletes to perform to the best of their ability, and they're the people who are looking after the horses after all. But the fact remains that in New York and over in Europe, the horsemen argue that this is not right, and indeed these horses, none of them which have been treated, would actually pass a European or New York drugs test. And the one thing you can bet on is that this issue won't run away.
This crowd continues to arrive at Hollywood Park. Difficult to estimate 50,000 or more for this 4th Breeders' Cup on a glorious day. Temperature in the mid-70s and just a few spots of white in a Southern California blue sky. A golden day in the Golden West, to be sure. The past winners of the mile: Royal Heroine, Cozine, and Last Tycoon. Last Tycoon paying a big price last year.
As we look at this big crowd, we hear about the trips across the water that the Europeans have made, and we think about the trips that people have made to come here to Hollywood Park to race. And Harvey, you've got some thoughts about trips.
Well, the only thing they pay off on at the racetrack is the trip the horse gets. This is a trip race. Bruff notwithstanding, they're making Sonic Lady the favorite. First time Lasix, fresh horse, they're right. But this race does not have to be run by the best horse. Watch the race. The turns are hazardous. Nobody can get through. Last year, Double Feint could have won it. In fact, you could have made a case for 3 or 4 others as you watch the rerun. So who knows? This is a super betting race. Get in there and hit it.
And the bugler sends them onto the track for the 4th race of the afternoon.
Reading between the lines from Harvey Pack, it's also a big jockey's race, so the jockey might well be an important, maybe even a more important ingredient in this one, because a lot of decisions to be made.
Let's look at the horses now for the mile. There is an entry, 1 in 1A, trained by Charlie Whittingham. One is La Belvedere, half-brother to Louis Legrand, who runs in the Breeders' Cup Turf. Won the Inglewood Handicap over a mile and a 16th on this turf course, but was beaten 11 lengths by Double Feint in his last start. 1A is Temperate Sill, the 3-year-old who got sick and missed the Triple Crown races. Headstrong and hard to handle and a bit speed crazy. His last start was his first on grass. He was beaten just ahead in that one, and Shoemaker is up today.
Double Feint, a horse that finished 4th in the mile last year.
And he's won his last 2 races this year, including a 4-length romp over a mile and a stake at Santa Anita 2 weeks ago. Comes from off the pace, and trainer Leroy Jolly has the noted turf jockey Fernando Toro up. Number 3, Santella Mac, has yet to win a stakes race, though he has come close. Drops back to a mile after running longer. Chris McCarron in the saddle this afternoon. Number 4 is Show Dancer, owned by Paula Tucker, who won the first Breeders' Cup Distaff with Princess Rooney. A mile, probably the best distance for Show Dancer and Marco Castaneda.
Foreign horse Miesk backed at 4-1 currently. This filly heads a strong European contingent.
Maybe the best of the European milers, though she lost to Milligram by 2.5 lengths in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. At peak form, though, she is a couple of lengths the best of the European group and looks to be back in good shape for French jockey Freddie Head. Number 6, Short Sleeves, ran less than a week ago, just last Sunday, and finished last in the Yellow Ribbon Stakes. An English bred who has had some success in this country. It would take her best effort today.
Number 7 finished 7th in this race last year as the 2-1 favorite, Sonic Lady.
And it's noteworthy that she is owned by a member of the ruling family of Dubai. The 3 Maktoum brothers, spending hundreds of millions of dollars, have become a world force in racing and breeding. Last year, Sonic Lady was a disappointment. She's been here for a month. Lafitte Pinkai hopes for better results today. Number 8 is Deputy Governor. Made his first 10 starts in England, but has been one of the top 3-year-olds on the turf since his return to the United States. Number 9, Milligram, an English filly who has developed into a top miler as she's gained experience. She's won her last 2 races, including the upset of Miesk in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. She's versatile. A mile is her best distance. She bruised a foot earlier in the week, but should run well for Pat Edery. Number 10, Highest Honor, lightly raced colt from France, who is a Group 1 winner, ridden by Cash Asmussen, the American expatriate who took his tack to Europe several years ago and has been very successful there. Duluth is number 11, owned by the Francis Getter stable, trained by Scotty Schulhofer, who combined for Smiles' victory in the sprint last year. Duluth won a stake at Saratoga, but is a long shot today. In the mutual field, number 12, Explosive Darling, owned by Dick Duchessois, who also owns Arlington Park. This horse has only 1 win this year. That was at Arlington Park in May. And the other member of the mutual field, 12B Air Display, winless this year, but has placed in 4 graded stakes, including a 3rd behind the now retired champion Manila in the United Nations Handicap. That's the field for the mile.
And 2 European entrants, Sonic Lady at 3-1 and Miesk at 7-2, favored to continue the stranglehold that the Europeans have had on this mile through the warmth of this midday in California, the Hollywood sign, and that's some 17, 18 miles away. Let's recap this Breeders' Cup Day at Hollywood Park. The sprint winner in an upset, very subtle, at 16-1 with Pat Valenzuela. Another upset in the second as the Fillies Juvenile won by Epitome, a 30-1 outsider, ridden to a nose win by Pat Day, and Sakawista at 5-2, and Randy Romero, a brilliant ride for the win in the Distaff. 3 Kentucky breds have won the first 3 races as we get ready for the 4th.
The Breeders' Cup Mile offers a great challenge for handicappers here at Hollywood Park and those of you at home. Here's Miesk. Yes, the Europeans have come back to the Breeders' Cup this year. Miesk, the very best in France, has never finished out of the money.
Here she is winning the Prix du Moulin, the mile race on the turf. It's basically a European event at this top level, Group 1 or Grade 1. Nobody in Europe can beat this filly, with one exception, a horse called Milligram.
And Milligram is from England. She can challenge today. The filly out of Mill Reef did defeat Miesk, as you said, Harvey, in the Queen Elizabeth at Ascot. From the United States, there is Double Feint, and Double Feint could be double tough at Hollywood.
Double Feint was in this race last year, had a rough trip, might have actually won it. Here he is in the Colonel Keister. He's running well here. He earns a trip to the Breeders' Cup. Trainer Leroy Jolly thinks he'll win it. This is a big field going a mile. The trip will win the race. The best horse doesn't have to win. Horsemanship, the jockey is in command. The Breeders' Cup Mile, probably the best betting race on the card.
Here are the current odds as we see the entry at 5-1. A little money showing on Double Feint, now down at 9-2, 4.5 to 1. Miesk is the second choice in the betting at 7-2. The favorite continues to be Sonic Lady at 3-1. And the only other single digit, Milligram, at 7-1. The Europeans showing very well in the betting.
Probably the best betting race on the
Linda
card.
Evans, one of the stars here at Hollywood Park today.
Here are the current odds as we...
From our first of two grass races, the Breeders' Cup Mile. The start is of considerable importance. A wide open field will have a fight into that first turn. Horses on the rail and those on the outside will be scrambling for position. Jockeys will have the backside, the backstretch to maneuver into their desired spot to make a run. Well, the public is having trouble sorting out a winner in this one. Harvey Pack, happy winner in the last, had Sakawista, is $4 up. Let's get his pick in this one.
Hey, how about this? Pack is ahead, boy.
I apologize to America. It was a mistake. I really meant Infinidad. But I'll work it out for them.
All right.
This race is, as I said, is a super betting race. There's no prohibitive favor. We'll let Sonic Lady, first-time Lasix, beat us. We'll go instead with the other horse, one of the horses from Europe, Miesk. We'll bet $10 to win on Miesk and $5 on the horse I thought should have won it last year, Double Feint. I'll get in the red. I'm working on it.
Well, and I'll go along. I'm going to agree with you. I like Miesk also here.
So we've seen 3 races on the main track, and we've seen 2 big upsets in Sakawista, the winner in the last, the Distaff, with a disappointment by the favorite Infinidad. The public having trouble finding one they really like in this one. Gary Stevens, do you see one that catches your eye?
Well, Milligram, the European filly, catches my eye. But as far as this race goes, it's strictly, as Harvey said, a trip race. They've got to get the right trip around there, and these riders are strictly the first 1/8 of a mile are going to be riding on instinct. It's tough to go out there with a game plan.
And of course, going into that first turn can get very, very scary a little bit of time. Are the European jockeys at a disadvantage here?
I would say they're at a definite disadvantage. In Europe, you very seldom see these riders coming into a turn off of a straight this early in a race. They've usually got a good, at least a quarter-mile run before they're into a turn.
Pat Edery, you saw, will be aboard Milligram. Bruff Scott, a former steeplechase rider. Let's get his thoughts.
Yes, with us now, Sarah Hornsby, who looks after Milligram, has for 3 years now, Sarah. You always wear the same colours as she carries.
Because it's been lucky.
But she wasn't so lucky on Thursday morning. She was actually lame with a bad foot. How is she now?
A lot better. She's just moved down to the start perfectly.
What was the problem?
A kind of bruising.
But you think she's okay?
She's fine now.
Now look, Sarah, you've actually looked after, as I say, for 2 years. You've taken her to France, to Ireland, of course, all over England. And this is her last race of all.
Yes. We're off to Kentucky on probably Monday.
And what's going to happen there?
I'm going to take her to her stud and see if she's settled in before she comes back to England.
That's her last voyage, but not your last voyage in racing. But, of course, another horse from the same stable, Sonic Lady, in here. You've had a long rivalry with her. How's that going to work out?
I don't know. Just as long as one of them can get there, that's all we want.
And how realistic are you about actually winning here in the Breeders' Cup?
We'll be in a 3.
Well done, Sarah. Good luck.
You know, a lot of people trackside have been very impressed with the good looks of Highest Honor, who represents France's handsome gray horse, who just arrived at the racetrack yesterday. Now, this is a very, very late arrival, but it's one of the 2 philosophies of shipping a horse a long distance to compete in any sport. Either you ship them very early and get them acclimated, or you ship them at the last minute so they don't even get a chance to suffer from jet lag and realize that they're in a whole different climate. Well, Highest Honor, certainly on his looks, bloomed under the second method. He arrived yesterday. He's on the track impressing people who are watching him as he goes to the post for the Breeders' Cup Mile. Handsome gray, Highest Honor. They're approaching the gate, so let's go back upstairs.
All right, Sharon, and Milligram, the 9 horse, and it took them a long time to get Milligram off the main track and onto the turf.
I understand that Pat Ettery got off on the backside. I don't know if he's had some sort of problem or what. I hate to say it. Pat Ettery is one of the greatest riders of all time in Europe, but this filly, she didn't look right to me coming up to the gate. She hasn't had time to settle or anything coming up to the gate.
Milligram currently at 7-1, and that bruised foot earlier in the week may still be affecting this filly from Great Britain, but she's going to run 1 mile, and it's going to be dicey going into that run to the first turn, and the position there might well determine an opportunity that could lead to another upset, as we have had a play for the long shot today. 1 mile. It's been a race for the Europeans, this turf race in the Breeders' Classic. 3 Kentucky breds have won the first 3. And now if you look at Bill Shoemaker, who is aboard Temperate Sill 1A, and now Angel Cordero, and let's go to Tom Durkin.
Just 536 feet before they hit that first turn here. It's a 2-turn mile on the turf at Hollywood Park. Temperate Sill is in the gate. Bill Shoemaker still looking for that elusive first Breeders' Cup victory. Temperate Sill balking just a bit. The role of the favorite once again this year goes to Sonic Lady. She is now 5-2. Temperate Sill with some urging in the gate. They're in the gate. And they're off. And Show Dancer is hustled away quickly for the lead. Deputy Governor is also right there with that one. And Temperate Sill will get caught wide going into the turn. And La Belvedere is up close early. He's running in 4th position. Mies saving ground all the way. Short Sleeves is now running in 6th position. Sonic Lady came away 7th, and she's nestled in along the rails, saving ground. Duluth is 3 wide round the first turn, running in 8th. Explosive Darling is now 9th. Milligram came away 10th. Highest Honor is 11th on the outside. Double Faint has come away running in 12th position. Centellamac has 1 horse beaten. That is Long Shot Air Display as they continue up the backstretch. Show Dancer and Temperate Sill, his gray shadow down the backstretch. Then a gap of 3 to Deputy Governor is in between horses. Miesk is beginning to gain ground now toward the rail. And in between horses, Short Sleeves is also right there as they continue up the backstretch. The half, a quick one, 45 3/5 seconds. Show Dancer trying to take it wire to wire. Temperate Sill still sticking with them on the outside. Short Sleeves driving hard, asks for more run. And Miesk will need racing room for the drive. Then farther back, Sonic Lady only 4 lengths off the lead as the field turns for home in the Breeders' Cup Mile. And it is Show Dancer bearing out. The rail opens up for Miesk, and Freddie Head sends Miesk right on through. Here comes Miesk now to take a short lead. Show Dancer is right there on the outside, and Sonic Lady putting in her run toward the rail. But it is Miesk, and Miesk is going to win it. And Freddie Head with a brilliant race ride. We said it was going to be a rider's race, and that it was indeed. Freddie Head saving every bit of ground, and he went on to win the Breeders' Cup Mile.
Miesk and the Europeans continue to celebrate on the turf of the United States in these Breeders' Cup days. Miesk, a 3-year-old filly, Kentucky bred, so that's 4 out of 4 for the Kentuckians. And Freddie Head, the rider, that's 12 out of 12 in the money for Miesk, all on turf in Europe, winning 8 of 11.
And Gary, at the top of the stretch, Freddie Head saw the rail open up for him. He put Miesk right through there, and the race is over.
Freddie rode an excellent race. This is one thing you have to do on the turf, is save ground whenever possible and hope that you get through. And he got the right trip, and he rode the right kind of race today.
The Europeans have been saying that Miesk was the best miler they have, even though Milligram had defeated her in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes. She proves it today with a win in the mile. New course record time, 1 minute 32 4/5 for Miesk. We'll be back to Hollywood Park right after this.
Regarded as the best miler in Europe, Miesk rides a brilliant ride from Freddie Head, and the 3-year-old filly continues the European reign in this event. Show Dancer, who broke so well and set the pace finishes second. A gallant run, and Sonic Lady, the favorite, picks up show. The unofficial results.
Freddie Head, the jockey aboard Mies, comes from the premier racing family of France. His father, Alec Head, for many years, the leading owner, leading breeder, and leading trainer. His sister is also a trainer, and Freddie Head, the jockey, has led the standings there many times. Sharon?
Well, thanks a lot. You know, in a race like this, a series of races like this, even losing can make some people happy. Jim Hilling is the trainer of Show Dancer, who ran a heck of a race for you, didn't he?
He ran his heart out, I thought. Marco said that the winner was just too much horse, but I thought he ran the best race of his life.
It's nice to see somebody who loses who's cheerful about it.
Oh, we were very happy, but we want this Breeders' Cup to come to San Francisco. We'll show you a real show.
Well, these people earned some money today with Show Dancer. Let's go to Jay and Harvey right now.
All right, and with us is Francois Bouton, the man who has trained this marvelous filly. And Francois, congratulations.
Thank you.
We have an interpreter also. I know you speak some English. We're going to take a look at this marvelous run here. This horse was just primed and ready, and I know that this filly won the 1,000 guineas. And what does this horse mean to you?
Qu'est-ce qu'elle signifie pour toi?
Moi, je suis très content parce que pour moi, c'est la meilleure pouliche que pour le moment je n'ai jamais fait. J'étais à peu près certain de gagner. Ma pouliche était très bien et sans incident, j'étais sûr de gagner.
The filly was at the top, and without any incident, my father thought he was going to win. But you know, it's another track, another country, a different method. But for him, the filly was at the top. Since she's a champion, there was no reason why she shouldn't win.
Well, I know you're almost in tears. Your dad, I'm sure, is a very happy man.
Yeah, he's very happy.
Congratulations, Francois.
Thank you.
All right, Bruff has the jockey, and a big ride it was. Congratulations.
Here's Freddie Head as we walk through. Freddie, many congratulations.
Thank you, Bruff.
At Hollywood Park.
Yeah.
It's been very tight.
I had a beautiful run, except in the turn the leader came on me a little bit, but she's so good, I mean.
Last time she wasn't at her best, but at her best she's unbeatable.
I think so. I think she's one of the best I've ever ridden, no doubt.
Well, congratulations, the Breeders' Cup.
Thank you, Bryce. Thank you. Come on, Jack.
So this is part of the charm of this wonderful day, this Breeders' Cup. It's only the 4th year, but those who had the blueprint masterminded this concept, the international flavor, the fact that the racing community, the world comes together. And today at Hollywood Park, France is represented, Kentucky represented, England represented, and Mies much the best. At Hollywood Park, Linda Evans of Dynasty. This is a beautiful triumvirate. Linda Evans presenting the trophy to Maria Niarchos, the daughter of the Greek shipping magnate Stavros Niarchos, who is the owner of Mieska filly as well. So the filly Miesk, Linda Evans with the honors to Maria Niarchos, as that a most impressive win by the filly regarded as the best miler in Europe. And here are the official prices.
And the fans at Hollywood Park who backed the European filly get $9.20, $6 and $3.80 on their investment. Show Dancer, the long shot second, paying $24.20 and $10.80. Sonic Lady was third. Look at the exacta, $697.50. And don't forget, Mies set a new course record, 1 minute 32 4/5, breaking the old mark by 3/5 of a second.
The interrelationships between the main characters in this drama of racing create some unusual stories. Owner, trainer, jockey, and another key person, the agent. In this case, the dilemma. As an agent, how can you get your jockey out of a $75,000 race in order to ride a race worth $750,000?
As the sun rises over the scenic San Gabriel Valley, and while most of us are still asleep, this man is already hard at work at the racetrack. His name is Scott McClellan. McClellan is a jockey's agent. He possesses a unique amalgam of skills, part salesman, part politician, part encyclopedia, and one large part handicapper. For he must be readily familiar with hundreds of horses and their trainers. And since the training of thoroughbreds is an early morning affair, he must spend 6 sunrises a week at the track in order to evaluate equine talent with an eye toward getting the best possible mounts. In this case, for Chris McCarron.
Chris is a great rider, and you don't see him ride too many bad races. He's a very good rider. So if he's not winning, it might show in the program that he isn't doing that well, but it's more me not doing well.
I can attribute at least 50% of my success to Scotty, if not more than 50%, because he is about as sharp as they come. I've done a lot of traveling this year, and we've had a lot of really lucrative trips, and it's totally attributable to his uncanny way of knowing where to be at what time.
That sense of timing to which McCarron alluded led Agent McClellan to call Paris, France this October morning in an attempt to book a ride that coming Sunday in a big $750,000 race in Canada.
Hello? Yes, this is Scott McClellan. I'm Chris McCarron's agent. Yes, I was informed that you might need a rider for River Memories and the Rothmans International. We'd love to come rider for you. We just have to get off our horse here Sunday, which is going to be no problem. So if there is a problem, I'll call you back in a half an hour.
And there was a problem. How to get McCarron off the commitment to ride this horse, the Medic, scheduled to go on the same day in the $75,000 Velati Stakes at Santa Anita. The Medic is trained by Gary Jones, who McClellan must now call and help find an acceptable replacement rider.
Nothing much. We can go ride that filly over there. They want us to come and ride that filly in Rothmans, and we can also ride Videogenic in the EP Taylor Stakes. I called Russell Bays. He cannot come. So now I'm just checking to see who's available. You know, I mean, we don't want to hang you up. If you don't get anybody suitable, we just can't go, you know. But we need to know because they're expecting a call from us in France in a few minutes. It's a tough and tricky situation to be in, and we're trying to get him the best suitable rider we can for his horse without leaving him high and dry. But the chances of going to riding a prestigious race as the Rothmans and the EP Taylor Stakes is an international event, and it's like it's a world-known race. If we could be lucky enough to win the race, it would be very good for Chris's future as far as riding horses maybe that come over here from Europe.
By lunchtime, McClellan is unable to lock in a replacement to satisfy Gary Jones, and yet he must call France to confirm his commitment to River Memories. Meanwhile, the day's races begin at Santa Anita. McCarron finishes 6th and 9th on his first two mounts, while in the stand, Scott McClellan and Gary Jones work out their problem. The Medic's rider will be Sandy Hawley, who has promised a full briefing from his close friend McCarron. Jones is not only satisfied, he expresses his admiration for McClellan's work.
He is the best in the business, and he has a good product. That enables him to be the best in the business. But he gets up earlier, he's on the ball more, he calls more, he does a little extra effort, but by far, he's the best I've ever dealt with.
A long day. It's the 8th race, and Chris is still winless. But in his final ride, he guides home over the ocean to a come-from-behind 1/2 length win. The trainer of Over the Ocean? Who else but Gary Jones? Now to Sunday. How did things work out? Well, McClellan's efforts paid off as McCarron and the light blue silks piloted River Memories from nearly last to a photo finish victory. And at Santa Anita, things were just as close for the Medic and the Volante.
Temperate Sail's finding more. The Medic is flying at him. Temperate Sail, oh, the Medic. The Medic getting up in the last stride there.
Indeed, a unique partnership. McClellan, McCarron, Hawley, and Jones. On this day, winners all. So the chemistry worked by the agent really paid off for all in that case. Gary Stevens, can we go into the finances of the jockey now? A jockey today that wins the Classic, $1,350,000 to the winner. How much of that goes to the jockey?
10% goes to the jockey. The agent will receive 25% of my 10% if I win that race.
So you can understand the added pressure. It's a big payday for the riders as well. And it's so much different in Europe.
Yes, it is different in Europe. The horses may be entered up there, up to 6 weeks before a race, so there's really no way of telling how many horses are going in that specific race or planning that far in advance of which horse you want to ride. So it's just about impossible to run business the way that we do here in the United States.
So you really run a contract with a particular owner there as a rider. You're his jockey. Well, let's look at the morning line in this upcoming 2-year-old feature. Here's Jay and Harvey.
Well, they don't know what to do here anymore because they saw a horse come from behind and they've seen them go to the front. That confuses handicappers looking for an easy way out. There's no prohibitive favorite here. Lucas's entry is held at 7-2. He's got a pair of horses in there. Czar Baby, who's been running very well out here, is 12-1. And Regal Classic, the Canadian horse, who seems to be awfully good, is being held at 5-1. They're going for Tejano. They're betting Fiery Ensign. They're all over the board because they're still covered with confusion.
Confusion. Harvey, let me ask you something about horse racing. Does wind ever affect a race?
A wind is a major factor, not here at Hollywood Park today. If the wind is going with you down the backstretch, it generally means the speed will go up. Now, at Aqueduct, there's a little handicapper comes in every day, marks down the scratches, the changes, and he waits for the national anthem. The national anthem, they show the flag on TV. He writes down which way the wind is blowing, and then he runs and makes his bet. There's something he doesn't know. It's a tape. The wind is always blowing with them in the backstretch. But this idiot, you know what's good about it? Speed wins a lot of races. I think the guy's winning.
All right. Sharon Smith.
Well, I'm in the paddock where the 2-year-old colts are getting ready to race. And, of course, 2-year-old colts, like 2-year-old fillies, have been known occasionally to do a few difficult things to their handlers. We were told to watch out for Fiery Ensign, who doesn't like to be saddled within the saddling enclosure. He's actually behaved very well. Parlay Me responded to the tightening of his girth by kicking the sides of the saddling enclosure, but he didn't hurt himself, and he looks fine. These horses are very eager to get out on the track. It's turned into a warm afternoon, and you'll notice during the post parade that several of them have heated up quite a lot. So sometimes that compromises their performance, and sometimes it doesn't. But Fiery Ensign behaved better than we were led to believe that he might.
Again, to underline the importance of this Breeders' Cup Juvenile for $1 million, $450,000 to the winning horse. These are the possible Kentucky Derby and Triple Crown horses of next year, these 2-year-olds, and so it gives us an early line on those that will be following in the 1988 racing year. You see Pat Day there ready to board his mount. Parlay Me, the 12 horse. Final words from the trainer. Who's more nervous at this point, the jockey, the trainer, or the owner, Gary?
Well, I would say that there's more pressure on the jockey at this time than anybody else, but the nerves definitely have to go with the owners right now.
You look into their eyes and say, boy, this is their whole life.
It actually takes a little pressure off of you when you see the owners out there, how nervous they are, and it calms you down a little bit.
All right, ready for the post parade. The Gene Klein owned and Wayne Lucas trained entry 1 and 1A. Number 1, Contempt. Lucas says one of the best looking yearlings you've ever seen. He put his money where his mouth was. He paid $950,000 for this colt. Looks good in the paddock. We'll see how he looks on the track. He wants to come from behind. 1A is Success Express. Though he paid only $150,000 for this colt, Lucas thought enough of him to run him as a maiden in the Grade 1 Hopeful. He was 3rd there. He has since won 2 minor stakes. He has speed. He'll probably make the lead.
Tom, Gary Stevens wanted to remind you that this would have been his mount, Czar Baby.
In fact, Gary was up when this horse won his first stakes race, November 8th at Santa Anita, and twice has been Grade 1 stakes placed behind 49er and Tejano. Chris McCarron up for the first time today. Number 3, Word Pirate, one of the top 2-year-old colts in Chicago this summer, where he won 3 in a row, but he faded in his last race, the Grade 1 Norfolk. Number 4 is Dr. Brady. Broke his maiden at Del Mar and hasn't been closer than 5th in 4 stakes races since. Number 5, Regal Classic, a lock to be the Canadian champion 2-year-old, looking for bigger game today, and he might be capable. He's never been worse than 2nd and has won his last 4 races by a total of more than 21 lengths. The grooms call him Porky because he likes to eat, but he's earned that right, already setting an earnings record for Canadian-bred 2-year-olds, and Dave Penna comes south to ride. Number 6 is Cruise Ship, only a maiden win in 4 starts in England. Despite Steve Coffin, this colt is over his head today. Number 7 is Flying Victor. After finishing 5th in his first start, the colt has won 2 in a row. The last a 6-length gallop in the California Juvenile Stakes at Bay Meadows.
And here comes the, no, that's Antigua. I thought we were going to go to the current favorite. Antigua, and not with a G, a Q is the correct spelling.
Well, he's used to mix-ups because he was supposed to be named for the Caribbean island, but the name was misspelled on the application papers. A Q substituted for a G. In 6 starts, he has run in France, Germany, Italy, and the U.S. He won the Laurel Futurity against moderate competition 3 weeks ago. This will be his first race on dirt. Number 9 in the field is Jade Trade, still a maiden with a 3rd in the California bred race for non-winners. Thanks for the entry fee here. Number 10, Tejano.
And this is the current favorite at 3-1. That's been no advantage thus far.
Already a two-time Grade 1 winner, this colt could claim an Eclipse Award with a convincing victory. He's a speed burner who has won at a mile, though he was third in the Champagne in his last start. And by the way, the name means a Mexican living in Texas. Number 11, Fiery Ensign, Florida bred, who sold for only $47,000 as a yearling. He has earned 6 times, and that figure, he's steadily improved. His last race, a good effort. It was a win in the Grade 1 Young American Stakes at the Meadowlands. And number 12 in the field, Parlay Me, late developing colt, second to 49er in the Champagne, but he then hit the gate and wound up 7th as the favorite in the Young America. That's the field for the Juvenile.
And after the race, each of these horses will be cooled out for about 45 minutes, a common stable scene, but with his own touch. Peb reverses roles. We'll take a brief hot walk after these words.
Field of aspiring 2-year-olds produced one of the Breeders' Cup's closest finishes.
Tasso is full of run. They're running out of ground. Stormcat, Tasso, here's the wire, and it is too close to call. It's a photo finish.
On the outside, Tasso with Pinkai the winner, nosing out Stormcat and Chris McCarron.
Long a favorite, Merv Griffin, of this game, and the show last night you produced, the Breeders' Cup Ball, was fantastic.
Listen, I enjoyed it myself. Usually when you're involved, you don't enjoy them, right? But I was sitting down the front row watching that thing happen with fire dancers, Neil Diamond,
oh my,
the Bacharachs, Michael Feinstein, Tony Bennett.
And then Tony Bennett, Stranger in Paradise was my first love song. That applies to some of the folks that bet on the long shots today.
That was your first love song? Hold my hand, I'm a stranger in paradise?
We got to go now, Merv. Thanks for visiting with us. We look ahead to the 2-year-olds that'll be featured, the Kentucky Derby Colts and Fillies of next year, and these are the Colts. And to take a look at how they've done thus far this year, here's Harvey and Jay.
Came out in 1911, Dick.
What you're going to see will give us some idea about today's Juvenile and maybe about the 1988 Derby.
It always has. The 2-year-old race here has always been a preview for next year's Derby. Tahano and Czarbaby. They met in the Cowden at Belmont Park. Czarbaby, Leroy Jolly's. Tahano, that's your man, D. Wayne Lucas. Today, Tahano puts away Czarbaby. But Czarbaby came out of this race, moved on to California, won a race here. Czarbaby is being pointed for today, so is Tahano. They both like to be on or near the lead. There will be competition today in this race.
Tejano, very impressive credentials, over $500,000 in the bank. There's Fiery Ensign.
They don't know how to spell his name, but they know how to spell his racing. He was trapped on a bad rail in the Champagne at Belmont, never got a chance to run. But in the Young America at the Meadowlands, he didn't beat a great field, but he beat them impressively, overcame a trouble line under George Velasquez. He'll be tough today.
The current odds show us that the Lucas entry has actually gone up a bit, now at 4-1. Regal Classic, the Canadian, he's at 7-2. The favorite continues to be Tahano. Tahano is 3-1 on the current odds as the fans here at Hollywood Park put their money on Wayne Lucas.
Gate for the $1 million Breeders' Cup Juvenile, 2-year-old colts, full 1/2 mile until a far turn. There's plenty of time. Post position not so important in this race. A 1-turn mile out of the chute. Plenty of home stretch, a full 1/4 mile for the horse running off the pace to rally against the lead. Speaking of rallying, Harvey Pack has picked winners in the last 2 races. He's now a plus 35. Jay, if this continues, he'll be totally unbearable.
Pack's pool is perking. This time around, we like the same horse.
There's a slight error in my favor. I've never been mispunched correctly before. It's only 125. Re-add NBC. I'll give you back the 10. Here's the picks for this race. I think I would have made Fiery Ensign my top play, but because Fiery Ensign has an outside post, I'm only going to go small with him. 20 to win on Regal Classic, the Canadian Invader. I like him a lot. 5 on Fiery Ensign, and just to have a long one going for me, a deuce on Word Pirate.
And as I said, Regal Classic is my best bet of the afternoon. Let's see what happens. This should be a good one.
Ruff Scott, you have a little more opportunity now to study these 2-year-old colts as they head toward you at the gate. Do you have one that catches your eye?
Well, I'm impressed by them, but I'm also impressed by the starting. And with us here is starter Gary Brinson. Gary, you were a horseman yourself originally.
Right. I've been starting here for 4 years now.
How important is it to understand horses to be a good starter?
You have to be around them for a little while to really understand them. You can't just walk in and take over.
Have you had any problems of horses who actually refuse to go in? Do you think the Breeders' Cup might have a non-starter?
Well, not really. They've all been pretty good, but we have a couple coming up that might be interesting.
Which two of those?
Village Star. We have him coming up, and we have one more.
Surprise. Which is surprise? Well, we'll see. Gary Brinson and his team go to work, and thanks to them, because as you can see, sometimes it's a pretty dodgy job putting a hand on the back of a large thoroughbred's tail.
Now we see Chris McCarron up, Rough Scott. You didn't answer the question. I know you've got some horse here that you're going to be keeping a close watch on. Whom do you like?
Oh, I'm a Tijano man here. I've really liked him. I had a look at him in the stall a couple of days ago, Dick, and I'm most impressed by him. And of course, I'm terribly impressed. We don't see much of him by Lafitte Pink Eye, who I think is the greatest finishing rider I've ever seen, and I've seen most of the good ones over the last 20 years. He really uses his body as well as his stick, and he can really, in the last 50 yards, he can really punch.
Number 10, Tejana, will be ridden by the Pirate Lafitte Pinkai in this $1 million juvenile. Gary Stevens, do you have a favorite here?
Well, I think this may be the first of the Gary Stevens horses that's going to run well in here. I'm going to have to stick with home here. Czar's Baby and Leroy Jolly, Chris McCarron. Good luck.
Czar Baby, the number 2. They're loading up. A couple more to go. Past winners in the juvenile, Chief's Crown, Tasso, and last year, Lucas Horse Capote. And we're close to the start. Let's go to Tom Durkin.
The field lining up one by one. 14 young hopefuls loading up for this $1 million mile. It's a long half-mile run before they hit the first and only turn of this Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Prominent early figure to be Tejano and Success Express. They are stablemates, so the byplay between those two should be very interesting. And look for Jorge Velasquez to place Fiery Ensign up close early, but on the outside. And Bruff Scott out at the starting gate.
Yes, Jorge Velasquez just about to come in. Jorge was in France early this year. And there's a bit of kicking there at the back. In fact, it's Tejano who is kicking hard into the back of the stall. He's sweating a lot. And this, of course, a tense time for those who are in early.
And Fiery Ensign, Velasquez will place this horse outside other horses. This horse does not like getting dirt kicked up in his face, and he will be outside horses. They are in the gate. And they're off, and Fiery Ensign is away quickly along with Tejano. Parlamy is also out fast on the outside. Flying Victor and Jade Trade and Success Express is right there as they enter the main track. 4 of them across the track doing battle early. Success Express, Tejano, Jade Trade right there. Fiery Ensign placed outside horses, now running in 5th. Czar Baby is moving through toward the inside. Word Pirate is now racing in 6th. Flying Victor is now 7th. Parlamy 5 wide down the backstretch, and he is now running in 8th. Contempt has come away 9th, but he's just 6 lengths off the lead. Regal Classic is moving through steadily and opening toward the rail. Antigua, Cruise Ship, and Dr. Brady trail the field as they continue up the backstretch. Success Express is clear by 2. Tejano is racing 2nd. On the inside, Czar Baby is right there running in 3rd position. The quarter went in 22 and 2, the half in 44 and 4. And it's still Success Express with a clear lead. They haven't gotten to him yet. Tejano is now running in 2nd. Flying Victor on the outside. Czar Baby. And now Contempt is kicking in. And on the outside, Parlamy has found his best stride. Fiery Ensign has dropped out of it. On the rail, the Canadian colt, Regal Classic, is coming on. But they still have to catch Success Express. Jose Santos all over him, trying to get him home. And they're a furlong from the wire. Success Express still there by 4. Regal Classic with one final surge as they come to the wire. Success Express trying to hold on for another 100 yards. And yes, he has done it. Regal Classic, a late bid, but it was too late, and it was not enough. Success Express, Jose Santos taking him practically wire to wire here in this Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and the final time was 1:35 and 1.
Combination of Gene Klein, the owner, and Dwayne Lucas, the trainer, has been very prominent here at the Breeders' Cup in its 4 years, and they win again today. The juvenile captured by Success Express, part of the Klein-Lucas entry and ridden by Jose Santos, hangs on for the win apparently after a game rallying try by the Canadian-bred Regal Classic. And the photo is for 3rd. You see Success Express, the 5 Regal Classic, and now the photo for third. Flying Victor on the outside. And
I think that's Tejano on the inside.
Tejano getting its nose apparently on the line for the show. Tejano, who went off as the favorite at 7-2. D. Wayne Lucas, second trip to the winner's circle today.
And his 6th overall in Breeders' Cup competition, and for the year now 86 stakes victories for Lucas, by far the most ever for a trainer of thoroughbreds, and his earnings over $14 million this year. Another Lucas Success Express.
The Juvenile won by Success Express, and what a winning combination that was last year. The leading owner, the leading trainer, the leading jockey, they collaborate again today. Klein, Lucas, and Santos. And there is the unofficial order of finish, the top 3 today in the Juvenile. And let's go to a smiling owner, Gene Klein.
Gene Klein, along with Mrs. Klein, congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're very excited. It was our last shot today, as you know.
Yes, and I want to just take you back. Originally, didn't you buy this horse for Mrs. Klein?
Of course. I buy every horse for Mrs. Klein. Everything belongs to her.
Everything belongs to her. You're very happy, I know.
I sure am. My heart's pounding.
Well, you two folks have done so much, and you put up a lot of dough and had a lot of fun and had a lot of winners.
Well, we got to keep having winners, got to keep having fun. That's what it's all about.
Nice sale last weekend, huh?
Yes, it was. It was wonderful.
Gene, this horse's race when he had his maiden race at Saratoga, he was in so much trouble.
Right.
Now, the next time out, we thought he'd win the Hopeful. What happened there?
Well, I don't know. You know, they can't win every shot, but I think this horse is the best 2-year-old in the country. It's just too bad that they didn't have enough courage to bring 49er out here to vie for the championship properly.
Gene, they put up an inquiry sign. Did you see any problem?
No, I better not.
Well, the inquiry sign is up. The stewards have posted the inquiry sign. We'll let you go get with your people, and certainly hope they don't take you down.
I hope not.
Keep in touch.
My pocket, my horse didn't borrow from him. But yeah, the one was second. He fell right in front of me, right at the wire. Yeah, right before the wire. I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. If that's what caused it, that's what it caused it.
Latif Pinkai aboard the favorite Tejano, and you see the stewards looking at the videotapes. It's involved apparently the 3rd and 4th place horses, not the first 2. So the Kleins can breathe easier. This is the exact feed that the stewards are looking at, and you're able to look over their shoulder. Do you see anything, Gary Stevens?
Like Tejano bore out very bad just inside the 8th pole. It looked like Tejano bore out very bad just inside the 8th pole, and Toro may have a legitimate claim of foul here.
We saw there just before the finish that Tejano came out and apparently bumped Flying Victor. So the stewards are rewinding as you watch to look at it again. Tejano in the center of the screen with the orange and white silks, and you'll see him bear out.
Right there.
He's bearing out right there.
And he was only beaten a short margin, so we may have a legitimate claim here.
Watch just before the finish now. Tejano under left-hand whipping comes out, boom, right there, and bumps Flying Victor. But it might have been past the wire. The stewards rewind the tape again. You're watching as they look at it over and over to try to determine if there should be a disqualification.
Toro claimed the foul against Tejano, the jockey Fernando Toro. This was not a steward's inquiry.
That 3rd place could be significant. Last year, Ali Sheba was 3rd, went on to win the Kentucky Derby. 1985, Spendebuck was 3rd, went on to win the Kentucky Derby. I don't think that's what they're talking about, but it's interesting that the 3rd place finisher in this race twice has won the Kentucky Derby.
The difference, in case you're wondering, between 3rd and 4th place for the payoff, $108,000 goes to the horse finishing 3rd in a $1 million race, and $70,000 for 4th. So it's a $38,000 decision being made right now.
And they're taking a while to make that decision. I think they're looking at the pan shot now to try to determine if that bump we saw on the head-on view did indeed happen after they crossed the finish line. Success Express and Regal Classic are well clear, but watch just as they get to the wire. Did the bump occur before the finish or not? I think that's what they're trying to determine.
Well, this doesn't have the heavy weight and consequence of that very first Breeders' Cup day. Remember Franz Valentine, a long shot, apparently winning for Earl Shive, and then they went back to the top of the stretch and found that bump and knocked Franz Valentine all the way down to 10th.
You see the stewards looking at that same shot, that head-on shot, over and over, as once again Tejano, under left-hand whipping by Pinkai, comes out and bumps Flying Victor.
Well, while they're making that decision, and we'll give it to you, at this point the race is not official, but obviously Success Express is the winner. We'll give you the results of that inquiry when we return. At trophy presentation, you see the hug for Jose Santos, Gene and Joyce Klein, and John Forsythe, the breeder himself and a great fan of the sport, making the presentation. Let's go Rough Scott down with Jose Santos.
Jose Santos, well, there's an inquiry, but you won by a long way.
Yeah, I'm very clear all the way. You know, I'm very excited for this race. My whole run, big race. He run maybe 20 days ago in Santa Anita. The track so sloppy. And tell you why, look at the horse, don't hang at all. So today he have a very flat track, and he demonstrated he's good.
Well, he's beaten them easy. What about going on and winning the Kentucky Derby?
Well, he's have a lot of future. He's 2-year-old, and he win in good time, and he can get very good to the
Everything's
track.
possible. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
The stewards ruled against Fernando Toro's claim of foul. Tejano does take third. The official results: 10-20 for Success Express in the win, $5 to place, and $3.20 to show. Regal Classic from Canada, and quite a runner, $4.40 and $3.20. Tejano paid $2.80. The exacta $1.5, $104 even.
Success Express with that very impressive victory in the Juvenile. Well, if the horses are the stars of this Breeders' Cup Day, the trainers are the directors behind the scene. Earlier today, Dick Enberg had a chance to talk to one of the very best trainers in the business.
There is no question that training is an integral part of racing, and the trainers themselves are key ingredients in this sports formula. We thought it'd be interesting on this Breeders' Cup Day to get some insights into the sport from the viewpoint of a trainer himself. And with us today is Dwayne Dorff. Dwayne Dorff, who will be saddling a horse at the Breeders' Cup today. Dwayne Dorff, that is an interesting name, Dwayne, because Dwayne Lucas is one of the most famous trainers in the world. By any chance, are you related?
Well, it's funny you should bring that up, Dick, because actually I am a distant cousin, and not too many people know about that, but I have actually paralleled my career just after Dwayne's, too. They're pretty much a parallel in this business.
Well, as many fans know, Dwayne Lucas got his start as a basketball coach.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes. Well, I did too. I was not actually in basketball itself, but what I was in, I was a cheerleader at Harvard. I don't know if you remember that great cheer we had there at Harvard. Do you remember? It was H-A-R with the V, A-R with the D, and knit one, purl two, Harvard, Harvard. Yee-hoo! So that was the big one. Then, of course, I played a little ball, but as a matter of fact, we still have an old peach basket up there on the old barn, and I kind of give it once in a while to keep touch with the ball game itself, you know what I mean? But I unfortunately was injured. They're real strong there. In one of the games, they slam dunked me there, and hi, Rover, how's it going? We got all kinds of animals around here. This guy will probably... We had, as a matter of fact, I said I was injured when they slam dunked me, and I got my heel caught on the net.
But now you're into training. How many horses do you have?
Just the one. Just the one. We just got this dude here. Yeah, this one right here.
Now, how much would a horse like that cost?
This costs $8. This was cash. This was cash on the barrel head, right.
And does it have a name?
Yes, it does. This horse is Seattle Slow.
And is Seattle Slow a colt or a filly?
This horse is a colt. I believe it's a colt. Let me... Right, yeah, this is a colt. You probably could spot that.
And it is going to race today. Do you know what race?
We're going to extend him out into the big one there. Yes, sir. We're going to go out for the classic, the 1.25 miles. We've been racing him now at 6 furlongs, but we're going to stretch him out today. He's going the 1.25 miles. We've had trouble with him crawling under the gate, too, so we're breaking him now from a smaller gate. But he goes right out.
And before we leave you, Dwayne Dorff, perhaps to give us all an added insight into the sport from your unique point of view, could you take us through a typical day, a day in the life of a trainer?
Sure, sure. Well, first of all, we get up about 4. I'm sorry, I'm allergic to hay. You get up about 4. On that horse. On the horse. Get him out there. Onto the track, and then he just zooms out there. We bring him back, and well,
there you have it. A little. Thank you, Dwayne. There you have it. Some from the backside here at Hollywood Park. Some insights into the role of the trainer in thoroughbred racing. Ladies and gentlemen, Dwayne Dorff.
Get him back to the barn, Rod. Thank you.
Well, Dwayne Dorff bears a strong resemblance to comedian Tim Conway. And Dick the horse, he looks familiar, too. I think that's that 90-to-1 shot Gary Stevens had his bet on yesterday.
All of Conway's horses are 90-to-1. Are you kidding? Oh, my. Well, last night at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, the stars indeed were there in abundance as the outstanding names in thoroughbred racing and in entertainment were there. Familiar faces, Collins, Backrack, Vanna White. And the entertainment was just, well, Neil Diamond was just such a marvelous. Diane Carroll, Vic Damone, the Backracks offered us their own special touch, and of course John Forsythe, the MC, along with Merv Griffin. Joan Collins did not ask me to dance, but I was willing. Heck, I would have even have sung. It was a terrific night and a part of all of the background and the fun of this whole week of the Breeders' Cup. It's more fun though when you win. Let's go to Harvey.
We'll have a lot of fun with this. The Breeders' Cup Turf at a mile. The morning line on it, it indicates a little more confidence in the European horses. Trempolino, the winner of the Arc, is held at 7-2. Frankly, I thought he could have been a little shorter than that. Theatrical is the favorite. He's ours. He's done everything that's asked of him this year. The public is making him the favorite. They're betting him below his morning line price. Charlie Whittingham is getting support with Swink. A lot of people out here like Swink, but Revilla, the other half, they don't really like. Ali Malord, the New York bred. This is a pretty good field. Trempolino, Theatrical should be favored and second favorite at post time.
And Harvey, we now have seen 3 races over the turf course. This course revamped, of course, after they had some problems with it last year. And it's obvious that it is a very fast turf course.
It's also a very honest turf course. We just saw that horse come right from behind, get through a hole on the rail. Super ride.
The Breeders' Cup Turf, sponsored by Budweiser, and the world-famous Clydesdales are on the track here at Hollywood. And aren't they magnificent, Dick?
Indeed they are. Currently, Trempolino is second favored by the wagers at 3-1. The entry, Louis Legrand and Theatrical at 9-5.
Yeah, okay. I can give you a comment.
There are the current odds.
Gary Stevens would have ridden Village Star today. What about that horse, Gary?
23-1.
He's only had one start here in the United States, and that was the Oak Tree Invitational at Santa Anita. It was a very soggy turf that day, a tough track to close on. Believe it or not, he was about 25 lengths out of it. He did close a lot of ground. He was only beaten 3 or 4 lengths that day. He finished 4th, and if this horse improves as much as a lot of the European horses do with some experience, then I think he's going to be right there at the finish. I see that they have fitted him with blinkers today. That should help him show some more speed early on in the race, so I don't expect to see him 25 lengths out of it today, Dick.
Cash Asmussen will take over your role, Gary Stevens. Trempolino, winner of the famed Arc in Paris, and with a comment about that entrant. Let's go to Bruff Scott.
Yes, he was absolutely brilliant that day. He did 2:26 for a European mile and a half. He beat Dancing Brave's track record by a whole second. Absolutely astonishing finishing speed. He might have traffic problems, but he shipped in. He only actually went out on the track yesterday afternoon for the first time. Only came in 2 days ago, but he looks very calm and cool, and I believe he'll do it. He looked a very good horse indeed on Arc Day. Coming up to a peak, had he kept it.
One of the interesting horses in this field has also come from Europe. That's Bint Pasha, the number 8 horse. She was the winner of the Prix Vermeil, which is one of the most prestigious races in Europe for 3-year-old fillies. And fillies that win this often go on to be very, very good in the fall. Unfortunately, in spite of how good she was in the Prix Vermeil, she didn't ship particularly well. She's lost a lot of weight, and her people are a little bit concerned that she won't be able to give her best today. We'll pay attention to her largely, or at least partially, because she's a daughter of a firm who we all remember so well. And she races, in fact, a great deal like him. Once she gets on the lead, she is determined not to give it up. In the Prix Vermeil, she had a relatively easy run, but anybody cares to challenge her in the stretch, she will dig in and fight and fight and fight. Now, if Bint Pasha has indeed lost a little bit of condition because of the difficulty of the ship, she may be hard-pressed to return to her form of the Prix Vermeil, but a daughter of a firm who had so many fans, well, they can be her fans at least for the next few minutes.
There's another interesting duel there as well, Sharon, and that is with the jockeys. Steve Cawthon will be aboard the 8-horse Bint Pasha, and Pat Ettery rides Trempolino. Cawthon edged out Ettery for the British riding title by just 2 wins. I believe it was 197 to 195. Came right down to the final day. So Cawthon out of Kentucky and a star as a teenager here as a rider in the United States, then migrated to England, where he has now won the riding championship 3 of the last 4 years. Cawthon will be aboard number 8 Bint Pasha. Good looking filly. Well, tomorrow we switch from the Sport of Kings to the National Football League. I'll join Merlin Olsen, hardly a thoroughbred.
Right, we're having a fun day, aren't we?
Well, I'm not behind enough yet. I'm only happy when I'm losing. You know what it is? It's Mickey Rooney put it the best way. When he was a little kid, they took him out from MGM. Louis Mayer said, let's go to the track. Mickey went to the track, dropped $5. He sent out $5 million trying to get that 5 back.
I played golf with him. He's still a very special guy. The post parade.
Here's the field for the Breeders' Cup Turf, sponsored by Budweiser. The Nelson Bunker Hunt entry, number 1 Swink, Grade 1 winner in France, has tripled his bankroll since returning to America. Biggest win in the Sunset Invitational over the same course and distance as today's race. Dislikes the soft turf. He was 8th on a yielding course of the Rothmans in Canada, his last race. The other half of the entry, 1A Rivlia. His Damn Dahlia at one time was the world's leading money-winning mare. Rivlia won the Hollywood Invitational at this distance on this turf in course record time, having his best season because he's learned to relax. Number 2 and half of the other entry is Louis Legrand. Only 1 win this year over a mile and a half at Santa Anita in February. He comes from way back.
Take a good look at 2B Theatrical. He's running for a possible turf title, or maybe even Horse of the Year.
Alan Paulson bought out his partner Bert Firestone last night, ending a feud over whose colors he would race in. Theatrical is the only horse to return for his 3rd Breeders' Cup, lost by a neck to Manila last year. Early in his career, nervous and unruly, but he's matured nicely. He's won 6 races and 8 starts this year, 5 of those Grade 1. Number 3, Alain Malord, a New York bred who was a Group 1 winner in Europe, likes this distance. He's raced twice in the U.S., setting the early pace, but then bleeding and finishing last in Belmont's Turf Classic. Using the anti-bleeding medication Lasix, he won the Grade 1 Oak Tree Invitational at a mile and a half. He'll be on Lasix today. Number 4, Village Star, 2nd, Group winner in France, came from far back to finish 4th behind Alain Malord in the Oak Tree, his only prior American start. Number 5, Great Communicator, yet to win in a stakes race, 2nd in the Washington, D.C. International.
Trempolino, that's the one that Bruff Scott talked about, the winner of the Arc, and just arrived at L.A. International a couple of days ago.
Won the fastest Arc ever. He's agile with speed on call. Be expected to make 1 big run from the rear of the pack. Just cleared quarantine on Thursday, but is the 5-2 favorite with the bookmakers back in England. Number 7, Sir Harry Lewis, winner of the Classic Irish Derby. He's a stayer but has no speed. He prefers the soft turf, and Jockey Reed has ridden him his last 6 races. Number 8, Bint Pasha, the filly that tries top males for the first time, has had 2 Group 1 wins, and you heard Sharon say had a rough time on the trip and in quarantine, losing a lot of weight. Number 9 is Storm on the Loose, has won his last 2 starts on the grass. A win, though, would be a major upset today. Number 10 is Vilzac, winless in 16 races during 1987. Why is he here? That's the question. Number 11, Autumn Glitter, had all sorts of trouble, still won the Las Palmas handicap on the grass, comes from off the pace, but is ambitious in tackling this bunch today. Number 12 is Circus Prince, drew into the field from the also eligible list, owned by a couple of Las Vegas hotel operators. The silks include a large likeness of a clown. Enough said.
An international field for the 1.5-mile turf race. For some, Trempolino included, their body time 8 to 9 hours off. Peb strikes a familiar note for the equine jet setter.
The 1.5 miles on the turf, an English charmer, the 4-year-old filly Pebbles, beats the boy.
Strawberry Road and Pebbles, they're dueling to the finish. Pebbles is game and determined. Strawberry Road driving hard. They're running out of ground. England Super Filly. Pebbles has won it.
And a beauty she was, Pebbles. Well, this race is perhaps the most contentious of this day. Maybe we can get some help from the races behind the race.
The Breeders' Cup Turf. We upped the ante to $2 million. Manila is out of action, the winner of last year's race. Theatrical finished second to Manila a year ago and has won more than $2 million.
With Manila gone, it's been his year. Look at him in the Man of War. Trainer Bill Mott, jockey Pat Day, everything they've asked, he's done. Look at the way he wins, completely in hand, just getting ready for today's Breeders' Cup. He knows the championship will be his, but it may not be that easy.
There's Trempolino, the Kentucky bred, who's campaigned in Europe and raced only 10 times.
He won the Arc. Once again, the Breeders' Cup attracts the Arc winner. Here he is winning that race, and still he's coming over here to challenge the American horses. Theatrical will be his main rival. He's not as highly touted as last year's Dancing Brave. Maybe that's in his favor. There's no question about it. Trempolino will be heard from today.
Last spring, they had some trouble with the turf course here at Hollywood. It's been completely redone. It is in marvelous shape. Harvey, I don't know who it favors.
It's an untested course. Ali Malord, the New York bred who's traveled all over the world. 2 races here in the States. He bled in the Turf Classic in New York, came out here and ran on Lasix. A completely different horse. He looked like the champion he was in Europe. Ali Malord runs away and hides here. This race is no walkover. Trempolino, Theatrical, Ale Malord, several others. The Breeders' Cup Turf is up for grabs.
It is indeed up for grabs. These are the current odds. Our system is tied in directly to the official totalizator odds, so this is what they're looking at the track itself, and the favorite is the 2 entry of Paulson, Theatrical, and Louis Legrand at 9-5.
4-1 on the other entry. And the only other horse that really has given much of a chance for the bettors would be Trempolino, the Arc winner, who is at 5-2 and is the second choice in the current wagering. The fans see it as a 2-horse race. Will it be Theatrical? Will it be Trempolino?
This is the European Classic distance of 1.5 miles. They'll start midway on the back stretch, relatively short run to the far turn. When they hit the finish line the first time, they still have a full mile to go. Harvey Pack started with $100, and his, well, he's still got $8. That's enough to take us out for a burger and a soda. Let's see who he likes this time.
It's not over.
We got it squared away now.
No, I think I've got a little 10 in my favor. That's as it has to be. Things are going very bad. In this particular race, I'm staying the way I did last time. I like the European horse then. I'm going to go again. Eventually, an Arc winner is going to get it. I'm betting Trempolino for a long shot, looking out to the side, 5 to win on Sir Harry Lewis.
I like Trempolino, and for my long shot, Storm on the Loose, the 9-horse.
They've approached the gate. Trempolino, of course, the one man who has seen that horse and admires it is Bruff Scott.
Yes, I've seen Ali Malord run in Japan. He obviously is better here since he's had the Lasix. But the fascination for me on this race is Trempolino. The ground is very, very hard by European standards. That'll suit him, and he'll have to be dropped out. Pat Henry drop him right out. If he reproduces that form, I don't believe he can be beaten.
It has been a big day for Kentucky breds. They've won all 5 today. And as it would figure, with the Heartland, Kentucky being the most famous breeding area, they are in the lead in the Breeders' Cup 4 days. 13 Florida with 8, Ireland 3, Oklahoma and Great Britain. The starter getting himself in position as they load the gate. It's interesting that in the previous 3 Breeders' Cup turf races, they've all been decided, what, Tom Hammond, by a nose or
by a neck. Lash Curry beat All Along by a neck. Pebbles over Strawberry Road by a neck. And last year Manila beat Theatrical by a neck.
Let's go up to Tom Durkin.
Only 2 behind the gate for this 4th Breeders' Cup turf. Circus Prince takes his spot on the extreme outside. He's up against it, a very short run into that first turn here. And Village Star, he was the one that usually has some difficulty going into the starting gate, but no problem today. They're in the gate. And they're off. And quickly, it's Cordero sending Great Communicator right to the front. Sir Harry Lewis now trying to stick with him early. Bint Pasha showing good speed early, and Theatrical was out fast now. He's been placed off the lead on the outside 4th. Swink has come away running 5th at the rail. Storm on the Loose is alongside him. Rivlia is now racing 7th in between horses. Vilzac on the outside. Alay Malord is nestled down on the rail. Following him, it is Village Star now, who is running in 9th position. And next in line, Trempolino, the arc winner. He's at least 15 lengths off the pace. Louis Legrand is far back, along with the 2 trailers, Autumn Glitter, and alongside that one, it's Circus Prince. So they pass us for the first time. There's a mile left, and Cordero trying to nurse the speed of Great Communicator. The half went in 47-1. Great Communicator is out there winging as the field moves into the 2nd turn. The Irish Derby winner, Sir Harry Lewis, is tucked along the inside, saving ground in 2nd. Bint Pasha is 3rd. Theatrical is still 7 lengths off the lead as they round the 2nd turn, and he's beginning to move steadily now. And Swink to his inside is running in 5th position. Vilzac on the outside 6th. Storm on the Loose in hand, racing in 7th. Louis Legrand is moving steadily on the outside, and Trempolino is asked for run from Pat Ettery now, and there goes Trempolino. And quickly they're gaining on the front, running Great Communicator. Theatrical makes his move on the outside. Sir Harry Lewis toward the rail. Bint Pasha, 4 of them across the track, and here comes Trempolino to join the fray on the outside. They are a half a mile out. Sir Harry Lewis by a head. Theatrical full out and moving right with him. Great Communicator trying to stay with them in 3rd, and they are tracked by Trempolino in 4th position. Louis Legrand is moving up in the pack. He's 5th on the outside. Then toward the rail, it's Alay Malord now. He's looking for racing room and comes out for it. Vilzac is just 5 lengths off the lead. And Theatrical has power to the front now as the field turns for home. The arc winner taking aim on the outside. Trempolino set down for the drive. Trempolino taking the lead. A furlong from the wire. But Theatrical has game, and he's coming right back. The American, the European, and it is Theatrical in front. Trempolino driving hard, full out, and determined to get him. And here is the wire, and Theatrical has won it. Absolutely spectacular. What more could you ask for? One of America's greatest grass performers, Theatrical, and he ran the race of his life this afternoon to defeat the determined European Trempolino in the Breeders' Cup turf.
Oh, brilliantly dramatic and a great call. Tom Durkin as Theatrical making its bid for Horse of the Year. The 5-year-old Irish bred able to hold off, stave off Trempolino. We were waiting for that shot down the stretch, but Theatrical was good enough to take it and win this $2 million Breeders' Turf. Let's go back to the top of the stretch.
And it was a typical Pat Day ride. He took the lead. He let the competition, Trempolino, come to him. Trempolino on the outside, Theatrical on the rail. Into the stretch, Trempolino will get a short lead, but Pat Day has got plenty of horse left. He comes right back along the rail, and it'll be Theatrical with Pat Day never drawing his stick. And finally gets a tap from Day and wins it by about half a length. Great ride by Pat Day, didn't you think, Gary?
That was a beautiful ride by Pat. Just as you said before, it's a typical Pat Day ride. He let Trempolino come to him in mid-stretch and uncorked his horse and just jerked the heart out of Trempolino. It was beautiful.
Pat Day with his 2nd win today. And this was the horse, remember, where we had the argument during the week between two millionaires, Bertram Firestone and Alan Paulson, what silks would be worn by Day on Theatrical, and they settled it. This men should. Paulson said, I'm buying you out. And he will greet the winner of this $2 million turf.
15%.
Well, very nice. Bill Mott, you've done a marvelous job with this horse. This horse was known at one time as a head case.
Right. I think he sort of had a reputation as being a bridesmaid. He'd run a lot of seconds. He'd run a lot of top races to good horses. And also, but he was stuck in the second position. And this year his form has turned around, and maybe it's maturity. I don't know what it is, but he's developed into a real great horse. I think this race that he just ran was as game of races a horse could run, and he's a true champion.
I think Harvey and I would agree with you.
Still going to keep him, Mr. Paulson?
Am I going to keep him?
Bill. Is Bill going to keep Bill?
Oh, Bill, sure, if we run him, but
well,
we know he's going to go to the breeding shed, too, this coming year.
He's done a great job with this horse.
All right, Dick.
Two winners today for Pat Day, 4 in the 4 Breeders' Cup, so he is the #1 in that regard. What a great call by Tom Durkin. Here it is again. Theatrical and Trampolino.
On the outside. They are a half a mile out. Sir Harry Lewis by a head. Theatrical full out and moving right with him. Great Communicator trying to stay with them in third, and they are tracked by Trampolino in 4th position. Louis Legrand has moved up in the pack. He's 5th on the outside. Then toward the rail, it's Alain Malord now. He's looking for racing room and comes out for it. Vilsack is just 5 lengths off the lead. And Theatrical has power to the front now as the field turns for home. The arc winner taking aim on the outside. Trampolino set down for the drive. Trampolino taking the lead. A furlong from the wire. But Theatrical has game, and he's coming right back. The American, the European, and it is Theatrical in front. Trampolino driving hard. Full out is determined to get him. And here is the wire. And Theatrical has won it. Absolutely spectacular. What more could you ask for? One of America's greatest grass performers, Theatrical, and he...
And there's Pat Day, and the irony of that duel down the stretch. Trampolino from Europe, from France, bred in Kentucky, finishes 2nd. Theatrical, and Tom Durkin's call, representing the United States, but bred in Ireland. And Pat Day, Bill Shoemaker once said, who most resembles you in the way he handles a horse, so quietly sitting atop those powerful mounts? He said, Pat Day.
And with us now, Pat Henry, a disappointed man, but a great ride on Trampolino. It looked to us going down the end of the backstretch as you could go and take him.
Well, he was always going through the race very easy, and then, you know, when I went down the backstretch, I just moved up on the outside to follow Theatrical, and you know, he was going very well in front. He hadn't picked his horse up, and you know, when I got to him and turned into the straight, I thought I'd beat him because my horse can pick up good, but he must be exceptional too, because he went with me, and then he sort of the last 50 yards, he started to get the better of me.
He's come a long way. How much did the journey affect him?
Well, obviously it's going to take a little bit out of him. You know, I'm sure he's better than that. You know, he normally does quick and right to the line. Today he just didn't quite get home.
Not quite, Pat. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So a disappointed 2nd, Edery and Trampolino. There are the happy faces. Pat Day aboard the winner, Theatrical. Finished 2nd last year in this $2 million turf. And for the award ceremony, let's go to Jay Randolph.
And I'm here with Michael J. Rorty, the Executive Vice President of Anheuser-Busch, and also Lucy Bush-Burke, who is here with Mike. And Mike, congratulations, first of all, to Anheuser-Busch, to Budweiser, for a great year all over this country and all over the world. You've helped to bring thoroughbred racing to top form.
Thank you, Jay. And like a thoroughbred, Budweiser is very pleased to be a part of this race today.
Well, you present, first of all, this Breeders' Cup trophy to Mr. Alan Paulson. And we talked to you a moment ago. I know how thrilled you are.
Oh, for sure. This is a great win for a great horse. And I got to commend the trainer, Bill Mott. I think he's done a fabulous job with his horse. When you figure this is the 6th Group 1 race this year.
Yes, indeed. Well, nice going, and there's the trophy.
Paulson, I'm happy to give you this very heavy.
Oh. And Mike, this year you have created a marvelous new trophy. The folks at Tiffany have worked with you, and this trophy will be presented to the turf winner each year and go, of course, to the group in whatever country handles thoroughbred racing. And you're presenting this trophy to Hans Stahl of the Jockey Club.
Hans, congratulations, and how happy we are to give the Budweiser trophy to the American jockey.
Thank you so much.
Happy days here in the winner's circle.
We couldn't be more happy.
Theatrical, the official winner, coupled in the betting with Louis Legrand, the entry paying $560, $320, and $280. Trempolino, a game second. Village Star was third. The time, 2 minutes, 24 2/5, equals the course record.
Beautiful Hollywood Park. And coming up, the $3 million Breeders' Cup Classic. And for the first time, we have Kentucky Derby champions battling head-to-head. Here's the favorite, Ferdinand, a beautiful chestnut, 4-year-old son of Nijinsky, 1986 on the inside, ridden masterfully by Bill Shoemaker, an 18-1 outsider. Ferdinand, a memorable ride by the ageless Hall of Famer Shoemaker, who will be aboard today. Ferdinand comes into the Classic on the wing of 3 straight impressive wins. And 1987, the Derby winner, Ali Sheba, the 3-year-old son of Ali Dar, recovered from a near fall in the stretch to win gamely under the guidance of Chris McCarron. This handsome, eye-catching colt will be out to add the Classic to his Derby and Preakness accomplishments of 1987.
Hey, Professor.
It's for the 1.5-mile turf, and for the first time, the favorites are on the top of the list.
And Theatrical and Trempolino much the best of that field. As you see, the complete order of finish. The first 7. With Autumn Glitter in there in 7th. Alain Milord 8th. Circus Prince Sir Harry Lewis, the classic Irish Derby winner. And Bent Pasha, who had the rough trip over, finishes last in the turf.
Last year at Santa Anita, the Breeders' Cup Classic was won by a colt named after one of the lead characters in Star Wars, Luke Skywalker. The winner cut a laser line down the rail.
But they have to catch Skywalker. He leads by 4 with the furlong to the wire. Precision is the second. Turkoman closing third. Skywalker is still there. And then it is Precisionist. Turkoman with 1 late move. But it is too late. And Skywalker, an upset winner with Pinkai aboard to win the 3rd Breeders' Cup Classic. And the string of long shots.
Last year's Breeders' Cup Classic was the crowning moment in the career of Skywalker. But a leg injury last winter brought an end to his racing career and a beginning of a new life at Cardiff Stud Farm in Central California. There, Skywalker healed quickly, and with it came thoughts of a racing comeback.
In order to bring Skywalker back, actually, the first thing we did was just start training him lightly, strictly for the purpose of helping the injury that he had that curtailed his career earlier this year. It just helps that particular type of injury heal faster.
If plans for Skywalker's return materialized, it meant that the 5-year-old would encounter a tight and rigorous training schedule.
He couldn't miss a work. It was tough. Every 5 days we had to work, and then we had to run him, and then we had to work him again, and then we had to run him again. So he hasn't been able to miss a beat, but he's held up remarkably well. This is not something you normally would be able to do.
Uncommon, yes, but Skywalker is not the first major racehorse to return from a career at stud. 1961, the Kentucky Derby winner, Carryback, enjoyed moderate success on the racetrack on his comeback from stud duty. Well, after winning an allowance race in his first race back, Skywalker returned to the big time in the Goodwood Handicap. On the lead in a tiring, muddy track at Santa Anita, he was finally overtaken by Ferdinand and Candy's Gold. But nevertheless, for Skywalker, an impressive 3rd.
He caught a deep, tiring track and inherited a lead, which is really not his style. He has speed, but and tired in the deep going. And in fact, it worried me a great deal because that kind of a tough race was maybe going to be too much to come back in 2 weeks for the Breeders' Cup. But he bounced out of it very strong. So, you know, now I'm thinking it was wonderful.
What a story. All in a year, Skywalker winning the 1986 Classic, retired with an injury to the breeding shed, and today looking to be back in the high life again.
It used to seem to me that my life ran on too fast, and I had to take it slowly just to make the good part last. But when you're born to run, it's so hard to just slow down. So don't be surprised to see me back in the bright part of town. I'll be back in the high life again. All the doors I closed one time will open up again.
Back in the high life again. Skywalker currently at 7-1. He was bred to 35 mares and got 28 in Foal, and now trying to become the first repeat winner of any Breeders' Cup race. From Skywalker to our own version of R2-D2, Harvey Pack.
Harvey? You know that Skywalker is the only horse that sent me a telegram when I was in the hospital. He said, I'll see you next year at the Breeders' Cup. And I'm sure that Mike Whittingham said, if you run fast, we'll put you back in stud. There is a lot of emotion here. Ferdinand 5-2 in the morning line is a bad bet at the track. Emotion has prevailed. He's being slaughtered on the board. He's an underlay, no matter how you look at it. A Fleet is value at 8-1, the Canadian. Ali Sheba kind of ignored at 7-2. Gulch is held at 12-1. They're overbetting because they're waiting for Charlie to win and Bill to win, and it's just a little too much money. I don't recommend playing it at that price.
4-5, the current odds on Ferdinand, the 1986 Kentucky Derby winner. And who will ever forget the pink hat, the cap of Shoemaker as he made that darting move at the top of the stretch into the rail and won at that big price. And there's Ferdinand.
So wonderful for Whittingham to win his first Kentucky Derby after all those years with Ferdinand. This race interesting though, Dick. It's been won the 3 previous years by a long shot, and one of the few Breeders' Cup races that has yet to produce a champion. Today could be the exception, though.
Let's talk about a favorite, and you mentioned Gary Stevens, the man that you were rooting for today, and conceivably this could be his last chance to win a Breeders' Cup. Bill Shoemaker will be aboard Ferdinand.
Well, Bill's done everything that could possibly be done in horse racing. He's won a Kentucky Derby several times. I mean, he's done it all, and this is really the only thing that's lacking from a great career.
Now here is one of the great champions of sport, Shoemaker. What makes him great? What separates him from the rest?
One thing that I think all great people, professionals have, and that's he stays on an even keel all the time. It doesn't matter how his career's going, whether it's on an upswing or a downswing. You talk to Bill Shoemaker, the person, and he's always the same.
Socially, or when he's doing his business as an athlete, that steadiness of Shoemaker as they head to the track, and Ferdinand the favorite.
The Classic, the world's richest race, at $3 million and is sponsored by Mobil. Number 1, Candy's Gold, a 3-year-old who was second to Ali Sheba in the Super Derby, third to Ferdinand in the Goodwood. Corey Black inherits the mount from Gary Stevens. Number 2 is Good Command. After arthroscopic surgery on a knee, he's run only 4 times this year, winning his last 2, and in the Fayette Handicap, breaking Roundtable's 30-year-old track record at Keeneland. Number 3, Judge Angeluzzi, named for a Lexington, Kentucky Circuit Court judge who is here today. This colt will go right to the front. He likes this track, has carried his speed as far as 1 1/8 miles.
And there's number 4, Skywalker. It would be Star Wars stuff if he can repeat as the winner.
Already comeback horse of the year, scheduled soon to return to stud. He's around remarkably to defend his Classic title. Won an allowance race, then set the early fractions before fading to third against Ferdinand in his last start. He needed that race, and Michael Whittingham thinks he and Pinkai can upset his dad Charlie and Ferdinand this time. Number 5 is Crypto Clearance, Iron Horse of the Year. This 3-year-old has danced every dance, racing 14 times, always bringing home a check. He's a confirmed stretch runner. He's always right there. And Pat Day replaces Jose Santos and looks for his 3rd win of the day.
No question, not only the betting favorite, but the sentimental choice, Ferdinand.
And he's coming up to the race just right, winning his last 3, including a victory in the mud over Candy's Gold and Skywalker. This is Ferdinand's best distance. He's running for a championship. He's been trained beautifully to this race by Charlie Whittingham. Number 7 is A Fleet, a late developing Canadian-based 3-year-old. He won the Jerome and the Pennsylvania Derby, then missed by a nose against the older Creme Fraiche in the Meadowlands Cup. Canadian Gary Stahlbaum has been aboard all 9 career starts. Number 8, He's a Saros, a long shot. You could have claimed him for $40,000 back in June. He's won a couple of minor stakes.
The public has Ali Sheba as the second choice at 7-2, the Derby and Preakness winner of this year.
He, of course, has been pointing for this race and will be brought up to it on Works by Jack Van Berg. His last race, a win in the Super Derby in September. He races on Lasix where permitted, which may cost him some championship support. Chris McCarron drew some criticism for losing rides in the Belmont and Haskell, but hopes for a smooth trip today. Bold Arrangement is, of course, the horse that was second to Ferdinand in the Kentucky Derby, but has had poor form this year. Number 11 is Gulch, a 3-year-old who's been among the best in his division all year. Biggest win over older horses in the Metropolitan Mile, but he may not want to go 1.25 miles. Number 12, completing our classic field, is Nostalgia Star, winner of nearly $2 million, often overlooked. He's a hard knocker who was 4th in last year's classic. He loves this distance and tuned up with a sound defeat of Creme Fraiche in the 1.25 mile Hawthorne Gold Cup.
6 of them are millionaires, half the field in the Classic. $1,350,000 for first place. Chance to ring the register again for one of them. And Heb says the horse that wins it deserves to fill the tank with premium. $1985 Aqueduct, the $3 million Classic. Gate Dancer denied again, this time by Proud Truth.
Proud Truth on the outside. Gate Dancer is game. Proud Truth ahead. Gate Dancer. Those two in driving finish. Proud Truth has won it.
Ready for the $3 million Classic. Here's the view of the races leading to this rich one.
$3 million, the Breeders' Cup Classic, and it should be just that. Ferdinand, the '86 Kentucky Derby winner, trained by Hall of Famer Charlie Whittingham.
He is ready for today's race. Look how easily he overtakes last year's Classic winner Skywalker in the Goodwood. Shoemaker hardly has to ask him to go. Runs away from the field, pointed for the Breeders' Cup Classic from day one.
Then there is Ali Sheba. Ali Sheba, the winner of the '87 Kentucky Derby, trained by Whittingham's friend, Jack Van Berg.
And Jack had to go down to Louisiana to prove his horse once again. A long campaign for Ali Sheba, undefeated on Lasix. This is not an impressive race, but Jack Van Berg has something to prove with this colt, and he intends to do it here.
And Whittingham has some speed in here. Judge Angelucci, winner of 7 of 10.
The Californian run at Hollywood Park. The Judge is on the lead. That's where he wants to be. Speed has always been dangerous in the Classic. But there's another horse here, the aptly named A Fleet from Canada. He's got speed. Wow, have we got a Classic.
Here's the way the fans see it at the moment. Skywalker, last year's winner, at 7-1. Ferdinand at one time was down to 3-5. Has come back up a little bit. He's currently at even money. A Fleet, the 3-year-old, is 10-1, and Ali Sheba, second choice in the wagering, 7-2 on the 3-year-old who's running for a championship today.
Gary Stevens, any thoughts about this one? Whom do you like?
Well, it's a very tough race to handicap. I don't see Ferdinand getting too far off the pace. I think there's going to be 2 tiers of racer, a front pack and a behind the pack, and I think that Ferdinand will be somewhere in the middle, and I see Ali Sheba keeping an eye on Ferdinand, not letting him get away from him.
How about a long shot?
Well, it's going to have to be Candy's Gold.
The horse that you would have been riding today.
Definitely.
We're building toward the drama of the world's richest thoroughbred race. $3 million. He knows about dollars. Lee Iacocca from Chrysler. Hollywood Park, and most of them will have a great view of this race because it might well be decided right in front of the grandstand. A classic American championship distance of 1.25 miles on the main track. It will begin in mid-stretch here at Hollywood Park. And the key is that final 1/4 mile run for home, and Ferdinand, with a patient Shoemaker, might even wait to mid-stretch before he makes his move. Well, Harvey's 100 is now $88, minus $12. It's time for his classic choice.
What are you going to do with those wide receiver numbers there, 88?
One of the things I always say, never go home with a dime. It's the last race, and this is the last race on the Breeders' Cup. You must get rid of everything you've got. It's meant to be. I'm going to do it. And I'm going against pedigree and against logic. That's how bad I am. My mind is completely snapped. Gulch. First time on Lasix for Gulch. He's been around a lot of dances. He may not want 1.25 miles. He's getting my major wager. 60 of the last 88 will go on Gulch. 20 of the last 88 will go on a Fleet, the Canadian horse. Two Mr. Prospectors. Neither of them want 1.25 miles, but then again, neither do I. And then, out of sympathy, $8 on Skywalker, the horse that sent me the lovely telegram.
Last chance for Whittingham and Shoemaker. I'm going to go, hopefully, Ferdinand.
I'm through. Chalk.
Last chance for you. Chalk, right.
Boy, Gulch, did he say 20? Let's say 24 to 1. He's putting 60 on Gulch. That comes out, what, about $1,500? I guess I'm not going to be so sentimental. I'm rooting for Pack.
He only missed a couple. He didn't. He just about bet on every horse in the field. Even I could have a winner that way. Here's what the winner of the race will get. The $3 million breaks down that way. First under the line, you take home $1,350,000.
And as Gary Stevens indicated, a lot riding for the jockey as well, as he would get 10% of that. A Fleet has a lot of attention. Sharon?
He's got a lot of attention in a lot of places, Canada especially, because he's come from Canada, and also in Kentucky. This day decides a lot of things. Decides Harvey's money, where it's going to go. It decides Horse of the Year and Eclipse Awards. Also Champion Stallion, the leading stallion of the year. A Fleet sire, Mr. Prospector, was certainly the leader going into today, but Nerea with 2 winners today, one of them in a $2 million race, could now be the leading sire. We'd have to total up the statistics. Aladar with Ali Sheba could turn out to the end of the year as the leading sire. Of course, there's another month of racing ahead, so a lot is on the line, including the hopes of some owners of some stallions, primarily in Kentucky.
As we look at the past winners of the Classic, this reminds me of waiting for the opening bell of a heavyweight championship fight, and right there at the gate is Bruff Scott.
Yes, I've been looking at Bill Shoemaker at this crucial time for him. It may be his last chance of all time of winning a Breeders' Cup. So cool, he goggles down. Ferdinand, who I hadn't seen before, is a magnificent looking chestnut, and the Breeders' Cup Classic is nearly there, Dick.
And Bill Shoemaker and Ferdinand, the favorite, at even money, and a lot of those dollars are sentimental. You know, the fans here in Southern California today are rooting for the 56-year-old Hall of Famer with a call. Let's go to Tom Durkin.
And they're off. And Ferdinand is out there early toward the inside. Candy's Gold is sent, and Judge Angelucci, and they passes for the first time, and it is Judge Angelucci now who's out to take the lead, but Candy's Gold is sticking right with them early. Corey Black trying to nurse that speed with him on the inside. Skywalker is up close early. He's a Sorrows 4 wide, a Fleet is 3 wide, and toward the inside it's Good Command, a gap of 4, and Ferdinand is settled into 7th position, and Gulch is alongside him. Ali Sheba is now running in 8th. He's about 9 lengths off the lead as they head for the backstretch. Bold Arrangement trying to take hold of this track. Crypto Clearance has 1 horse beaten, and that is Nostalgia Star, who is content to trail at this time as they move off the backstretch. Judge Angelucci and Candy's Gold moving together on the lead. The opening quarter went to 23 flat, 46 and 2 for the half. Those two are still going at it. Good Command kept close to them toward the inside. He's a Sorrows running 3rd, and Ferdinand now has asked for more run. He'll need racing room, though. He's on the inside 5th. Skywalker is alongside him, and now Ali Sheba begins to roll from the back of the pack, and the Fleet has dropped back. There's a half mile to run in this Breeders' Cup Classic, and it is Candy's Gold toward the inside, Judge Angelucci, and Ferdinand to pick him up now on the outside 3rd. Good Command is putting in his run toward the rail. Skywalker is still in it. He's only 3 lengths off the lead, and Ali Sheba continues to pick him up on the outside with a dramatic run toward the leaders. They are at the quarter pole here at Hollywood Park, and it is Judge Angelucci on the outside. Candy's Gold toward the rail. Ferdinand and Ali Sheba coming on from the outside. Good Command is in behind horses. They're less than a furlong out. Judge Angelucci desperate. Ferdinand right there. Ali Sheba on the outside. Ferdinand, Judge Angelucci on the outside. Ali Sheba. Ferdinand has the lead. Ali Sheba, a final surge. The 2 Derby winners hit the wire together.
Sheba, the 2 Derby winners of the past 2 seasons, battling down the stretch. And Bill Shoemaker has apparently won his first Breeders' Cup Classic for Charlie Whittingham and owner Howard Keck. Ferdinand waiting so patiently, and it was Shoemaker at his best, saving his horse, and he needed all of Ferdinand to beat Ali Sheba. Let's go back to the top of the stretch.
Candy's Gold on the rail. Judge Angelucci right outside him. The early pace setters hanging tough. But in the pink and blue silk, Shoemaker and Ferdinand inching closer with every stride and will come up to take the lead. But keep your eye on the extreme outside in the blue and white. Ali Sheba gaining on Ferdinand with every stride. They'll come right to the wire in one of the most thrilling finishes you'll ever see. Ferdinand and Ali Sheba right there.
Well, we are in Hollywood, and with the photo sign up, fans waiting, and now the replay does show that Ferdinand barely, hair of the nostril.
It's close, very close, Dick.
And that is not the official photo. That's our NBC photo finish camera. So,
well, you think through the years of the great motion pictures that have been made in this part of the country about racing, that's almost right out of the script, almost melodramatic to have the 2 Derby winners dueling in that manner and for it to be so close. That's the exacta pool closing in on $1 million for those that are now rooting for the 2 Derby winners to pay off. And of course, that is the one thing we do know. The exacta will involve those 2.
Think of all that hangs in the balance for this photo. Ali Sheba, if he gets there first, will probably be the champion 3-year-old, will probably be a horse of the year. Ferdinand, if he got there first, he could be horse of the year. All that riding on just an inch or less.
Here it is again from our NBC point of view, looking right down the line. Ferdinand on the inside, and Ali Sheba, number 9, on the outside. And the hand, listen in the background. You don't hear racing fans applaud like this often. They're applauding Shoemaker and Ferdinand. They're applauding Ali Sheba and Chris McCarron as they come back to the winner's circle, and they await the official notice on the board. Listen to the hand at Hollywood Park.
I've never seen anything like this, Dick.
Normally at this stage, everyone's looking at their ticket, and if they haven't won, they're not applauding anyone. But that man, one of the greats in sport, and he saved one of his most dramatic rides for perhaps his last chance at the richest race in the world.
He's won over 8,700 races in his career, around 1,000 stakes.
It is official. Ferdinand the winner, and Bill Shoemaker and Charlie Whittingham. And Shoemaker didn't know himself. He only could hope. Charlie Whittingham, the bald eagle, is the winning trainer. He's with Jay.
All right, and the bald eagle is with me, and I said just before this race I was rooting for you, and so was this crowd. You and Shoemaker get the victory, and they stood and applauded here, Charlie.
Thank you I thank them all very much, and I know Mrs. Keck is very pleased today.
Charlie, you've come a long way from Tijuana.
Sure have, boy. Otay Mesa.
And I must say this, this horse showed tremendous staying power.
I think this is the best horse in the country, and I think next year he'll be better yet.
And you're going to run him next year.
I hope so. I hope Mrs. Keck decides to run him.
How about it, Mrs. Keck?
Well, I hope so. That's good. At least we're going to get the horse. That's what the Breeders' Cup is all about. The most emotional wagering I've ever seen at a racetrack. For your horse, for this man, 4 Breeders' Cups, the last race on the last day, and Bill Shoemaker, 2 legends finally in our winners.
And Charlie, here's the race. You and the shoe, 130 years of racing experience batted together, and this was just a remarkable run.
Well, it really was a big day for Shoe and myself and everybody else, and I'm very happy, fella.
Mrs. Keck, there you are, of course. So what were you thinking at this time?
My heart was beating so hard. I was just hoping I'd make it down to the winner's circle.
Neither one of you thought you won the race, Charlie. You weren't even sure.
I thought it was very close. Judge Angelucci, my other entry, stayed in there tough, didn't he?
He did stay in there very tough, and it was a photo, and it was very close. What were you thinking right at this point?
I was hoping to beat Vanberg this time.
Well, you're good friends, you two.
Yeah, sure are. I thought we were going to win there, but that other horse was creeping up. But, boy, it was close.
All right, congratulations. Bruff Scott has Bill Shoemaker.
No, I'm afraid Bill's had to go and line up on the horse because his moment of glory has going to be lived again. He'll get up on the horse, and what a cheer will happen.
Needless to say, and it may go down as one of the greatest races of all time, with Noor and Citation affirmed against Alidar. Seabiscuit and War Admiral today. Ferdinand beats Ali Sheba.
Here in the winner's circle with Alan Murray, the chairman of Mobil Corporation. I know someday you'd like to be presenting this trophy to yourself, maybe.
Absolutely.
But
someday we will.
Well, it's a $3 million race. Mobil, of course, proud to sponsor it, and you're proud to give this trophy to Mrs. Kemp.
I certainly am. Congratulations. It was a truly magnificent race.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It really was.
Pass that on now. It's a little heavy, though.
Hold it.
Yeah, we better hold it for you. Wonderful day for the Kings.
It was a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you so much, Dick.
Yeah, we've overused the word elegance in this sport, but boy, does it allow itself in that race. Ferdinand, $4, $3, $2.60. Ali Sheba, $3.60 and $3.60. A big race run by Judge Angelucci out front with the speed, setting the pace. He returns $5.80. The day belongs to Shoemaker, the 56-year-old star. Will it be his last ride? And we'll put Gary Stevens in his irons when we return.
Thoroughbred sport. Ferdinand holds off Ali Sheba. Ferdinand, I think, will be voted Horse of the Year. Ali Sheba might get the title. I think should get the title as champion 3-year-old. You see the order of finish. And Skywalker, really the only disappointment in the race, as he faded to 12th and now heads back to stud.
All right, Gary Stevens has been with us throughout. He's going to take the final quarter mile. The duel between Ferdinand. Put yourself in Shoemaker's boots.
Well, this is Shoe at his best right here. You see him move up on the outside. He's got plenty of horse. He doesn't go for his whip yet. He's still sitting chilly, and it's taken him a year to figure this horse out, but God, did he figure him out. He doesn't go for his whip until inside the last 50 yards. Right there, you see him nudge him a little bit. Ali Sheba lingers up on the outside of him, makes a run. Now, Shoe goes to the bottom of the barrel, and it's all over with.
You said at the start, Gary Stevens, you were rooting for one man today, Shoemaker. Do you think this is his last ride?
That's hard to say. I don't know. Shoe goes on and on and on. He never quits.
And there is the man of the hour, Bill Shoemaker. Congratulations to him. Let's go down to Jay and Harvey.
Well, it was a great day for the Kentucky breds here. And Harvey, how about you?
Happy to be broke. As long as Charlie Whittingham and Shoe got one, the last two races we saw today, probably the greatest two-horse races you'll ever see back-to-back anywhere in the world. I'm happy to be broke.
Splendid afternoon it was, Dick.
It brought chills. Sharon Smith, emotionally, how do you react?
Well, one of the best things I've heard is that there's no talk of retirement for Ferdinand, and Ali Sheba is also expected to come back next year. And after what we just saw, that can only be exciting, thrilling for all of us. What phenomenal horses, what phenomenal four horses, the first two finishers in each of the last two races. Marvelous day of racing. Let's go to Bruff.
Yes, I think I'm a lucky, lucky man to have seen such a wonderful race. Ferdinand ridden by the master himself. Doesn't matter if I never see another race. I've seen Ferdinand win with Bill Shoemaker. I think we're all lucky today.
Thank you, Bruff, for your help, and for all of those at trackside for your involvement in this very special day, the Breeders' Cup, and what a climax to a racing year. Tom Hammond, your final thoughts.
Well, I think Ferdinand is Horse of the Year. Ali Sheba, champion 3-year-old. And as we look back on the day, it was an exciting 7-race card. Very subtle. The 3-year-old filly upsetting in the sprint. Epitome, a long shot, winning the juvenile fillies. Sakawista, wire to wire in the Distaff. In the mile, Miesque, the French filly, with a brilliant run. Of course, in the juvenile, Success Express for the Lucas team. In the turf, Theatrical with a brilliant run. And capping it off in the classic, the Shoe and Ferdinand.
And next year, the Breeders' Cup will celebrate the end of another racing year at famed Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. And when we join the fans in the heartland of thoroughbred racing and breeding, we will bring with us the memories of this day, Bill Shoemaker and Ferdinand.